What's going on, guys, and welcome to our annual Game of the Year for 2024. I know it's 2025 now, but we played the games throughout 2024, and we're here to finally talk about what our own personal picks for Game of the Year are. The way this works is we have two runner-ups, games that almost were our Game of the Years, to kind of give some kind of playroom for, the games that we almost wanted to be our Game of the Year, but not quite, didn't make it. We'll be naming those, and they'll be naming our own personal Games of the Year. And it should be a fun conversation today. Joining me is me, I'm Seth, and to the right or left, Chevy is next to me. Above me is Cody, and then across from me is Josh. How you guys doing?
Good, man.
Sick. Josh, how you doing?
Glad to be here.
Glad to have you.
Good.
Glad to have you
Good,
guys
good.
back finally. So, and then we got Chevy in the box, isolated, because it'd be easier to film that way. How you doing, Chevy?
I'm doing good. I had to do a little finagling because I recently got a new computer monitor, so my desk is a mess right now. But otherwise, I'm good.
It's fair. I've been reorganizing and changing up the studio, so it's a fucking mess in here as well. But that doesn't really affect the filming here, so we're all good. So let's just jump into it. 2024 happened, and it was a year full of plenty of games that I think were viable picks for Game of the Year. We saw the results for Game of the Year on the Game Awards, which was Astrobot, which I think was a fair pick. We'll see if anybody here agrees with that or not. But did anyone play Astrobot?
I did not.
Me neither. Okay, so that'd be really weird if that's anyone's pick. But yeah, I kind of felt personally that their picks and their actual pick didn't align with a lot of people, which I thought was kind of interesting. So it'd be cool to see what we all think Game of the Year was on our own, thoughts on that. So with that, let's start with runner-ups. We'll do our, however you want to say it, first or second runner-up. You can do this in any order that you want, but a game that was one of the best games you played in 2024 that wasn't quite your Game of the Year, but definitely worth mentioning. We always start off with Josh, so let's start off with Josh.
All right. My runner-up. I'm gonna go in 3, 2, 1. My third is Helldivers 2.
Okay.
The zeitgeist around this game was massive. It's fun. It was kind of a good game to get back in the swing thing with the boys, if you want to call it that. The way they slowly rolled out, new features to the game was really cool. They did that thing where you had to go liberate that one planet, and it's where like the mechs were made, and that's how we got the mech call-ins. It was just really cool. There was so much like neat, even like meta culture to it. Like everybody going like for Super Earth, and being that super like having that super propagandish, like culture that they have in the game.
That's one of the things that really bothered me about how it got basically snubbed for Game of the Year at the Game Awards, is that people forget like the communal aspect to that game. There was like endless memes, people making like merch of like, I was there at this event in Helldivers 2. Like it was like a whole event in 2024, and then people forgot about that after the controversy, and then some of the update stuff that I guess ruined the balancing of the game. But it was like definitely, in my opinion, one of the biggest games of 2024 when it came to like cultural relevance.
Definitely, and just how it spearheaded the whole thing, because the first one isn't, like not known, but it was definitely not a breakout hit like this one was.
No.
First one very much was slow burn, very word of mouthy, and this one just kind of just came out the gate awesome. The two different factions I thought were neat because they're completely different in how you fight them, and then they added the Illuminate.
Which I still haven't played.
Which honestly I haven't fought against either. I played it recently. All the cool, what the hell are those things called? The where you put in the directions to call
stratagems.
Stratagems. All of those, all like the cool new stratagems were all hidden behind, like, you had to be level 25, which is the maxed out level, and I just wasn't there. If you were playing from the beginning, of course you would be, but so I kind of been jumping in and out of it, so I haven't fought the Illuminate yet.
Yeah, we should definitely hop in and try that out because I haven't even checked that out at all.
But between that, the gameplay, the weird memeable aspect of everything, every time you play the game, it's like, oh man, this happened and this happened, and everybody's like, whoa, that didn't happen for me. Or then, like I said, how the devs rolled stuff out, people seeing weird shadows of the Illuminate, and like they just see like blue lasers, and they're like, I don't know what that is. And then when the cars first started rolling out, people found them.
Yeah, they're just leaving them on planets and stuff.
Yeah, and it was like a really cool like meta game that the devs were playing. Other than having to make things harder and harder and harder and harder, which is what really stalled the momentum of the game, was the devs just messing with the weapons. People would have a meta weapon for this thing, and I get it. You want to kind of break the meta, but bring all other weapons up to its level. Don't just make the enemy stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger, or weaken the weapon.
Yeah.
But anyway, it does deserve a place in my top 3, and I'm really actually pissed off that it got almost no nods at the Game Awards.
Yeah, it's crazy. It was like it's kind of forgotten about. I think it won something though, didn't it? Like best action game or something.
Yeah.
It was just weird that Dragon's Dogma 2 and Helldivers 2 got like completely fucking forgotten about. And it's like, did you not remember how big those games were when they came out?
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's third runner or second runner up.
All right, it's a good pick. Let's jump over to Chevy. What's your first runner up?
Okay. Similarly to Josh, I'm gonna do a 3, 2, 1. So I'm gonna pick. I double check its release date because I wasn't sure, but I'm gonna go with Grand Blue Fantasy Relink.
Oh yeah, it came out early, 2024.
It was January 31st. Yep.
Birthday.
Yeah, that was a birthday game for you. So almost a year ago now. That game, I already had my eye on it when it was coming out to begin with, but after it coming out and like hearing people kind of talk about it a little bit and realizing it was a kind of Monster Hunter JRPG, with multiplayer stuff, I wanted to try it out, and then ended up like pushing it back for a while. We ended up playing it. I think it was our game of the month, or maybe it was game of the month, right?
Yeah.
Which forced me to actually like sit down and play it, and I ended up just really enjoying myself. So
yeah, I would still play that game. It's fun.
Yeah, a lot of fun. I mean, honestly, the only thing it would be higher, but it had very limited support, so there isn't a lot to like look forward to once you are done basically with that game, which is unfortunate because I think there was a lot of potential there, but I think the experience itself was a lot of fun. If they were to ever make another one, I would just say maybe redo some of the systems to be a little more up to date. There's a lot of menu hopping and stuff like that could be refined, but otherwise the game's solid. The bosses are fun. There's a large cast of characters and weapon types to play. The art style is really cool. I love Grand Blue's art style. And the story was fine. It didn't have to be amazing.
It had cool set pieces though.
I was impressed by it. And the some of the bosses, the magnitude was pretty insane. So,
yeah,
a lot of fun. And if you haven't played it, I would totally recommend it, especially if you're into Monster Hunter or JRPGs. So.
Or if you're into both, you're gonna love it. Yeah, I pretty much agree. Not with the pick of runner up, but just that the game was solid and kind of slept on. Honestly, came out early, so it's gonna get forgotten about. It is a JRPG, so you got to be into that. It's also influenced by Monster Hunter, which you got to be into that. And now a lot of people are into that. But yeah, you're right. It does have a super solid art style. I think it's a really nice looking game. I think the character designs are good. The story was okay, but it wasn't bad. So I appreciate that. It was just serviceable. But I thought the campaign was short, sweet, bite-sized, and kept me entertained the whole time. Also has reasons to go back and replay all the areas to collect all the stuff if you want to. But then the online component is like a grind fest in a good way. Like you and your friends can just sit there and put a lot of time into this fucking game, working your way through the bosses, and the boss fights are fun. So the game offers, in both regards, single player campaign and multiplayer, much more than I would expect from a game like this. It is kind of sad with how much effort they put into this game, how little they put into support of it. It would have been this game could have been like a multi-year game they could have kept supporting. So
for sure. And I know like it's like a said and done story, but I feel like you could still, it doesn't have to be one for one with the mobile game story. It could just be, they could branch off and make extra content at the end of it. They just put a disclaimer out there that it's not canon to the original game or whatever. But
sure.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. It's probably one of the, I mean, obviously I picked it, but it's definitely one of the games I put the most time into last year, even according to my Steam end of year review thing. It was on there. So
yeah, that's a good pick, and not one I would really expect, but I get it because I liked it too. So you got anything else?
Nope, that's it.
All right, I'll go next. I struggled this one just because there's a lot of games that there's like almost no clear heavy hitters in 2024 for me. That was like the best thing ever. There's just like a lot of really good games across the board. So I'm kind of shuffling here on like, well, was this better than this? Would I rather have played this over that? And so I've done that. But a lot of good games I played. But the one that when I'm thinking about what were the top 3 best games I played this year, what were the games that really stood out to me? The one that I'm about to pick for my first runner-up, and my list goes the same as well, 3, 2, 1, isn't necessarily about the gameplay, but about the experience I had and how impressed I was with that experience. And that game is Mouthwashing. Mouthwashing is like a $12 2-hour game. In the time I put into that, going in completely blind, I had no idea what I was getting into. I ended up beating it, and I was actually just kind of blown away by, first off, a small team creating a game that was so well made, a game with an art style I absolutely loved, a game with a story that I can't talk about at all because I think people should experience it for themselves because the way it's told is so clever, so smart, and tells a really intense story that I just think, I literally, when I got to the credits, was just like, whoa, that's crazy that somebody made that story and did it so well. The music is fucking phenomenal. Whoever made that, I don't know their name, but they did a great job. As soon as I started the game in the main menu, the music's playing, I was like, oh shit, this has like a really cool ambient vibe going on. Like, this is not what I was expecting at all. And you just have this guy with his eye looking crazy, and I'm just like, is this like a goofy game? Like, I don't know what I'm getting into. It's called Mouthwashing, okay? And then like you play through it, and as the story's unraveling and as you're confused on like what the fuck is going on, you get towards the main parts of the story and you're just like, what? Wait, they did this, that, like what the fuck? And then you beat it and you're just like, that is insane. It kind of blew up there for a second. A lot of people were talking about it. The only reason I even picked it up myself is because I had people over on TikTok telling me that I had to play it. And I was like, enough people are telling me I got to play this, so I'm going to check it out. And I absolutely loved it. Like when it comes to, like I said, the gameplay is not the best ever, but when it comes to memorable experiences I had in 2024 that stand above other experiences I had, great games with awesome action, this experience was just one of the most memorable. And I'm still just so impressed with how small of a game it is, with how much impact it left, the small dev team that worked on it, definitely an indie game, and just being that effective in 2 hours, and also only spending like $11-12 on it. Really crazy. I absolutely loved Mouthwashing. I never reviewed it officially, but if I could have graded it, I probably would have gave it an A or an A+. It did not waste the 2 hours it takes to beat it. The whole time is just super engaging and fantastic. So, yeah, my number 3 pick and runner-up is Mouthwashing. I'll do shout-outs after. I don't want to spoil anything.
Okay.
Cody.
I'm just going to piggyback on that because that was that's my runner-up.
Nice.
It was Mouthwashing, yeah. You pretty much said everything. It was developed by Wrong Organ.
Yep.
Is the company that did it. And yeah, same thing. Music was great. The way the story's told, it's almost like Tarantino-esque,
Yep.
told out of order. But yeah, the same sort of thing. I played it on my Steam Deck, so it was just like something that I could play a couple, like couple hours a night. But once I started playing, I didn't want to put it down. Like I wanted to just finish it. I kept thinking about it. It was so funny. It took me just like 2 days to beat it.
Yep.
2 sittings, and I just kept thinking about it at work. I was like, dude, I just want to get home and play the rest of this. Like, what the hell happened? Like, it's just the way it's told. The graphics are, I mean, I like the style. It's kind of funny to go back now on graphic styles and be able to tell legit stories with graphics that are like that. So you don't need like these high graphics to do it. But yeah, it just left a lasting impression. So that was one of my runner-ups too. That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. I figured you liked it. We actually never talked about it after you beat it.
No,
You were-
yeah. But actually, I think I mean, I same thing. I think I saw it on TikTok or something, and then you had said that you picked it up, and I think honestly, when you put out your video to play it, I was like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
I'll check it out, and that's when I got hooked on it. So
Yeah.
thanks to you.
Yeah, there's like little whispers about it, but I barely heard about it. And I had all these people telling me, I was like, okay, fine, I'll play it. And I played it. And then when I was talking with you about it, you're like, yeah, I think I heard of that. I'm like, yeah, it's really good. And then I put out that video, and probably helps to just have that, cementing of like, oh, somebody I know actually was really into it too. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah, I'm actually not surprised that's your runner up, because it's definitely, I feel like a game where we would be into. So it's just weird, bizarre, horror-esque. The Tarantino thing is a good point, because the way it's told is just very clever. You'd have to storyboard it first and then take it out of order, and then make sure that order makes sense eventually. So, and then the graphics I agree with. They're very Dreamcast looking, and that's one of my favorite eras in graphical visuals. I love now that we're getting games that look like PlayStation 1 and Dreamcast, because like it's so nostalgic for me. But yeah, it's a great pick. I agree with you on it. So, you got anything else you want to say on mouthwashing?
No, that was good. And I mean, I think at most it's like $15, but most of the time you can get it for like 10. It's totally worth it.
Yeah, when I bought it, I think it was on sale. I was like, this is $11 or something like that. Fuck it, I'll buy it. And it's worth
quick
it.
play and
Yeah. All right. Those are all of our runner-ups, right?
Yeah.
Let's jump into our second runner-ups. Chev, you want to start us off with that?
Sure. So my second runner-up is a game I didn't play as much as I would have liked to, but my time with it was nothing but memorable, and that would be Helldivers 2. It is a pure co-op game, as I'm sure most people know, obviously, at this point. So it's not really going to be for everyone, but for me, and I know the three of you are pretty similar in this regard, that is a pretty big factor to be able to sit there and play something co-op with people. So, Josh already brought up all the build up to the game, and then even while the game was running, all the constant like teasing and like playing with the community, with the devs and stuff. They did have some hiccups, but hopefully they will stay rebounded and keep going in that regard. I just think overall as a video game, it's just a fun experience, and it's probably one of the most fun experiences I've had throughout the entirety of 2024, because the variables are just effectively infinite on like what kind of crazy situations you can get in with your friends, whether you just randomly get splatted from the side from some like bug bulldozing you over, or your buddy shoots you in the back, or like a building explodes and you just have you too close. Like stupid things happen constantly in that game.
Or Chris calls in a mech and it gets stuck on a rock and he can't enter it.
Yeah, and like so, as long as you're not with someone who's just trolling you, like that's part of the fun, is like the crazy hectic nature of it. And
Yeah.
I don't think you can really capture that in too many games. So I think it deserves the recognition. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. It's one of the only games that like, and it can get frustrating after a while if someone's like not learning from their mistakes. But that game is set up in a way that you have to understand you are going to get killed. You're going to get killed by the enemy. You're going to get killed by yourself. You're going to get killed by other people, and so you have to be understanding of that. And a lot of times it's so ridiculous that it's like funny. It's not frustrating like you're playing fucking Overcooked or something where I want to like rip my hair out of my head.
Or that wizard game we played, Josh.
Made
Nice. Okay.
Magica?
How long do I have to
Magica.
bear this cross?
Forever.
Dude.
I literally stopped playing that game because of you. I was like, I'll never play this shit ever again. That's the same guys, right? I believe Magica came out before Helldivers. It's the same system
Sure.
Yeah, maybe.
It might be. Yeah.
because it has the same stratagem system. You had to call in your spells.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah, I could have swore. It's similar because you kill each other.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
If it's not the same people, I could have swore it was. I don't know.
it might be. I don't know the dev of the wizard game. So.
But yeah, Helldivers 2 definitely solid, especially when you compare it to the first game because it was such an evolution. You went from a top-down, cool idea game like Magica to this 3D game with like pretty good graphics, awesome mechanics. It still felt like the original. They did a great job upgrading the game while keeping it feeling authentic to the original game. Did you look it up, Cody?
Yeah, they did not.
They did not. They just took the idea from Magica.
Yeah.
Okay. Because
they
basically
did
the same
Titans?
premise. Huh?
I'm trying to look it up. No, I don't think they did though.
Okay.
But I agree. Or is it?
So from what I'm seeing is Arrowhead made Magica 1.
Yep.
Magica 2 was made by Pieces Interactive.
Okay.
Oh, okay, that's what
Yeah,
that's
I
what
knew
Magica too.
because like
yeah, okay.
I remember when Helldivers came out, I had played Magica and I was like, oh shit, it's like a Magica with guns. That's cool. So
Just remember that laser one. There's like the one where it's like the fucking or the chaos beam or something. That one would fucking kill me every single time, but you could bust it. So anytime it would hit like fire or something, it would like blow up.
oh yeah. I forgot
that shit
about that
would kill me
shit.
every time. But
Yeah.
They also
I'm making this
did Gauntlet Slayer Edition, apparently.
Oh, interesting. That kind of makes sense. I just remember in Magica, not that we need to be talking about Magica too much, me and Chevy would be like out in water fighting people, and Josh would be on land just shooting lightning into the water. I'm just like, and I'm like, bro, what are you doing? He's like, it works. And I'm like, yeah, it works too good. It's fucking killing us. But yeah, Helldivers 2, great game. Definitely glad to see not only one runner-up so far, but two, because it definitely feels like it got snubbed with how big of an impact it had on the gaming community when it came out. So good pick. You got anything else you want to say on that, Chevy?
I mean, if you're looking for something also chaotic that came out, I think last year, fucking EDF6 is a similar like chaotic experience. So
yeah.
just less
Starship Troopers too.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Too. I
forgot
completely
about
forgot about
Starship
That was just like a
Troopers.
builder. I mean, it was pretty fun, but it
was
was like
pretty
once
fun.
Helldivers came out, we're like, oh yeah, this is the real
This
game.
is the real Starship Troopers game. Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
All right. Let's see. I guess I'll go next. My second runner-up is also Helldivers 2. Is definitely, when I think about the year, one of the games that stood out to me the most. This is a little revealing, but this was close between Dragon's Dogma 2 and Helldivers 2 for me. Just because I thought Dragon's Dogma 2 was great, but I have some complaints about how New Game Plus worked, which kind of ruined my experience. So it didn't make my list. Otherwise, it probably would have been in my top 3. But Helldivers 2 got passed just because when it came out, it was really exciting. It was awesome as a fan of the original Helldivers to see it upgraded the way it was. It is a better game in every way, and you love to see that. The memeing, the community aspect was exciting. I think how the dev handled releasing new content is a masterclass on how people can be releasing content in games and should be studied and replicated by a lot of people. You don't have to copy them completely, but if you want to generate excitement for a game when it comes to new releases, Arrowhead, right?
Yeah.
That's the studio. Arrowhead had a great plan that fumbled a little bit with some of the problems that came up, but to have people constantly guessing and speculating where your game could go, and they believe that you can do what they think you're going to do. And mostly they did. It took them a while to do the next group of enemies, but they did deliver on that. Is awesome. That's what you want. You want people talking about your game, because that only makes more people hear about it, more people want to pick it up. And luckily it's a third-person shooter, so it's pretty straightforward on how to play it. You need to learn team dynamics and how to not kill yourself and other people as much, but again, that's part of the fun. But yeah, they just really crafted something that was like really easy to get into, really easy to talk about, but hard to master, especially with the amount of difficulties the game offers. I've seen people on TikTok asking, is this game super hard? Should I try it? And I'm like, you can play it on the easiest setting if you want, and you'll be fine. It's not that difficult. But then if you think it's too easy, you can jack it up and just get wrecked. So it really accommodates most people. I also think that I forgot what it's called. The way they're releasing unlockable content in packages. Fuck is that called?
They're basically
the War Bond.
Yeah, War
packages.
Bonds. I think War Bonds is a great thing. I love that you can just decide to start working on a War Bond, and as they release content, you can buy new War Bonds if you want that new content while still playing the game. It's a smart way to release content like that. There's no FOMO, which is great. And yeah, I think the game was made in such a smart way, and it's the most important thing is so fun to play because everything's so impactful. Explosions are just fucking huge. They feel dangerous. You feel like you're using just crazy weapons of war to get shit done, and there's a super dangerous element to that, but it feels gratifying when you blow up a giant bug or you destroy a whole nest or you're taking out all these robots in Vietnam. It just offers, with how simple basically it is, that it's a third-person shooter. You run around field shooting stuff and completing simple tasks. It just feels so not like other games that would try to offer the same thing. It just feels dynamic, feels crazy. It creates stories to tell, which is one of my favorite things in gaming, is when you play a game where you can actually have your own stories to tell. And yeah, Helldivers 2, I think absolutely was one of the best games of 2024. There's a lot of great games in 2024, but it's got to be in, hopefully, anyone who played it's top 5. I mean, it's such a good game. So, and definitely wish I played it more, but I just had too many games on my plate. But I put a good amount of time in it. So, and I would definitely play it again. So that's my pick. That's my second runner-up. And we'll jump over to Cody.
All right. So mine is Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2.
Good pick.
Yeah, that one, I cracked out on it when it first came out, and it kind of just scratched that itch. I mean, I think earlier this year we even played a bunch of, it was one of the PlayStation Plus games, World War Z, with Saber Interactive.
Yep.
But it is just that in a Warhammer setting, and it's just very, like I said, satisfying and just super fun to just sink hours into. I got through most of the content pretty early on, and I'm not even like into Warhammer, really, never was. I'm not super into the story, but I like the lore. That makes sense. The more, the not so much the story of the game, but like the backstory on like the other characters and the other factions and the other Space Marines that you find out about. There's all this customizable stuff you get. So when you unlock, I forget what they're called, but the other Space Marines, like
The other chapters.
the other chapters, yeah. You unlock like suits of theirs. That's the other thing. The one gripe about the game is that most of the stuff you unlock is like customizable stuff. But then that would unlock, like you would get certain pieces, and I'm like, oh, this goes to this armor set, so that I would learn about this chapter, and it kind of just took me down like a rabbit hole and just Warhammer, and now I'm pretty into it. So, but yeah, the hordes. I mean, just having just swarms of aliens just coming after you and just murdering them, and you're just this giant suit of armor just mowing enemies down. It's super fun. So yeah, Space Marines. You guys played it, obviously, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. The game's fucking great.
Yeah.
The campaign is really good, even if you're not into Warhammer, don't know much about it. I mean, I'm no fucking expert. I have very limited knowledge of it, but I was super impressed with the campaign. I think the story was good. I think there were some really cool, just badass set pieces in it that
Right.
I haven't played like a single player game in a while where like, you know, you're playing like Metal Gear Solid and there's going to be like some cool set piece where you're like, whoa, this is fucking badass. Or you play like the older Call of Duty games and have some cool set piece, like, whoa, this is fucking badass. Not really much anymore, but you know, it's been a while since I played a game that has these like cool fucking things that happen. And like this campaign was like badass. Like it made you feel like you were like a motherfucker. You're just like wrecking through crowds of dudes. Your guy's just like backing up everything. He's just fucking barking off at people and like, and towards the end, like I was like, this is like actually ramping up. This is getting like epic as fuck. And there's that cool scene. It's been all over the place. So I don't want to ruin too much on it, but like they're all like just holding the spot and shooting and shit. I was like, this is
With
fucking
the flag.
yeah. I was like, this is fucking badass. Like if they wanted to make just a badass fucking game, they did it.
Yeah.
And then they had the absolute balls to fucking have a PvP mode in this game and fucking PvE co-op modes. So like it's got something for everyone. The only reason I didn't play this game more, and I did beat the campaign, I loved it, played a little bit of the PvP, played enough of the PvE, and I want to play it more. Maybe I should revisit it. At the time I played it when it first came out, like you said, a lot of customization stuff, which I love because it's just cool to be able to deck out your dude and make him look a specific way. There is unlockables in terms of like weapons that weren't even in the campaign. They had like their own shit in the PvE. So there's stuff that's like new and exciting there. But the thing is, it's like you got to grind to unlock a lot of stuff. And there was only at the time 6 missions. I know there's more now. And
There's only like one more.
yeah, and I was kind of worried. I was like, I don't know if I want to go hard on this right now because I'm going to get burnt out on 6 missions. And they're fun, but I was kind of worried about that. So that's the only reason I kind of backed off from that game. But other than that, I mean, like I agree. That's another game I feel like kind of got snubbed, just because it was like another big deal when it came out. I think it's the most successful Warhammer game, isn't it, in terms of like sales and shit?
Yeah, it's got to be.
Which is great, and I know they're guaranteed to make another one.
It's either that or one of the Fat Shark games like Vermintide or Darktide or something.
I think it beat that. I think this like fucking blew up. So
God damn.
Didn't they shut down?
huh?
Didn't they get shut down?
Who? The guys?
Time dev?
I fucking hope not.
No, Darktide's still coming out with updates. They just had a big one.
That would be terrible because Vermintide 2 did great.
Sorry,
yeah.
this is a tasty cast. It just kind of.
And
Darktide had some hiccups in the beginning, but I if this update fixed it, then that would kind of help a lot. But I know it was kind of hovering around mixed reviews for a while.
that's another game too. I was playing one that came out was Darktide, and it was cool. But that was like I
Yeah.
could already kind of see the limits of what they were going to offer me. I'm like,
Yep.
I'm gonna let them cook. I'm gonna let them fucking just do their thing for a little bit. I'll come back and hopefully then I can have a better opinion because I liked where they're going with it. It just kind of felt
Right.
bare bones. But Space Marine 2 didn't, except for in the PvE, I guess. But they offered 3 different things to do in that game, so there's plenty of content there. And if you're okay with doing the same missions over and over and over again, you're gonna have a blast with that. So. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really good pick. Space Marine 2 is fucking awesome, and definitely one of my favorite games of 2024. I just wish I played it more because, like I said, I didn't want to get burnt out on it. So,
Right.
yeah. Got anything else?
No, other than just fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Play it.
Yeah, it's a great game. Josh, what's your second runner-up?
I'm just gonna piggyback because that is my second runner-up is Space Marine 2. It was again like with Helldivers, there's stories to tell. There's memeability, you know. For a while, everybody's going "Hello, brother" and fucking shit like that. And this game is a real perfect example of if you have something good that appeals to people, they'll come into your space and hobby. So like like Cody was saying, it got him to start looking into the lore of each chapter, and fuck, it got me too. I mean, I've known of Warhammer, but I've never kind of dived into it. But I was reading about the fucking Horus Heresy and all sorts of fucking crazy shit that happened millennia ago, and
There's a lot to it.
yeah, and like how like dreadnoughts are these fucking space marines that they wake up to fucking just wreck. And they're like the teachers of the chapter's history and stuff because they're 10,000 years old and shit like that. And the way time works in that game is, or not just in the game, but in Warhammer itself is crazy because everything is just ancient.
Warhammer's the one where orcs, if they believe something, it happens, right?
Yeah,
They have that
that's
magic
how
where they like can hold a stick and think it's a gun.
Shit. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which is weird.
But
I also loved on TikTok, people were like posting videos of the flying baby cyborgs, and people were like, Warhammer fans, what the fuck are these? And it's just this weird little baby flying, and people are like, oh yeah, those are blah blah blah, and this go on this whole fucking lore thing, and I'm just like, yeah, it's kind of a weird fictional world to jump into the deep end on.
Like, what are the mechs called? The giant
I forgot.
Dreadnoughts.
That's what those are.
Yeah.
No, those aren't dreadnoughts. Those are dreadnoughts are the big ass ones.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. And they have like a guy inside, basically. That's just basically like a brain, fucking like.
Yeah, he's just hooked up
maybe
to it.
Yeah,
just fucking that shit's crazy. I'm like, well, what's more metal than that? Like,
yeah, it's pretty metal.
Yeah.
No, don't come after me. But yeah, from my understanding is a Space Marine gets hurt, and if they can't fix him, he gets put into a sarcophagus, and that sarcophagus gets put into the mech.
Right.
And
you're like, here you go.
And then they're in constant agony all the fucking time.
Right.
And it's their fucking straight rage that fucking makes them just
going into
murder everything. But to the game, it really showed you that people are really looking for kind of like an old school approach to games like this again. And that they do have a space, not everything has to be this big open world mess. Not everything has to be this multi-hour checkbox game. Good, because the campaign was 8 hours or so.
Yeah, it was like 8 or 10.
And with like the story was fun, and Titus being Titus, because the first game he was accused of heresy, and that's why he was part of the Death Watch in the first mission of the game, and then all of a sudden he gets back with the blueberries, as they call them. And the story was fun. The multiplayer was great. Had like 7 or 8 classes.
Mm-hmm.
And the combat you're right, it made you just feel like the motherfucker. You were there to just kill, and that was it. And the whole time, even your other Space Marine brothers are like fucking ripping and tearing, and they're pissed too, and they're just fucking yelling shit all the damn time. And every
they're
time
all
you
on the
fought
same page.
Yeah, every time you fought something crazy, it was just ready to go. It really showed when you were back on the. I like the detail that it showed back on the the hub ship. Like you could see them all praying in church and stuff like that, and like things happened in between missions. Like they had like their own little stories to tell, and
yeah, they really put a lot of work into like the immersion of the world. Like even when you're on the ship, it feels like there's stuff, like there's operations happening. You're watching ships flying in and out. There's people walking around doing stuff. Like they definitely sell the world.
And how, like, so remember when we were playing Godfall, and you were like, who the hell lives here? Because everything is just these huge monolithic fucking structures.
Oh yeah.
It's like and that whole Warhammer's that. Like, it's just like you're in that one city and you're going down this fucking elevator and you're like, holy shit, because it's just huge. Absolutely like bonkers big. And the scale, the skyboxes in that game are some of the best I've seen, just because like they're full of swarms, or all of a sudden fucking people are shooting shit into them, and like it seems like they go on forever, but they'll actually react to what you do. And the game was just, it was a nice breath. It was a huge breath of fresh air compared to a lot of games. So that's why it's my first runner-up.
I said a random thought when he said Bonkers Big that they need to make a Warhammer 40k game just called Bonkers Big. It'd be fucking stupid.
It's fucking, it's you play the orcs.
that would be fitting. They have that Twisted Metal game that I played in the beta on. It was pretty fun. I forgot what the fuck
like
it's called.
Speed Crushers or whatever.
Speed
the hell.
Freaks or something like that.
Yeah.
I think. That was a pretty cool game. So, good pick. I agree with all the points you said. Just like when Cody's talking about it. Did me and Shelby just pick Helldivers 2 and you guys just picked Warhammer? All on our own? Okay, interesting.
Yep.
Yeah, solid game. It's a game I want to return to. I want to return to that and Helldivers 2. So that's how much of an impact they had. Is these are games I could, if they support them right, I could definitely see myself playing. Even past 2025. I still play World War Z, and that game's been out for over 5 years or some shit. So, and it's also gratifying for me because I talk up. I can't remember the name now. What the fuck? The people who Saber. I talk up Saber all the time because every time I play one of their games, I'm like, yeah, they know how to make fun games. And then that game came out, and like, yep, you can always just kind of bank on Saber. They're
Just
gonna make a fun game.
Yeah.
The new Turok game looks kind of okay visually, but I see Saber's making it, so I'm like, it'll be fun. It's a 4-player co-op game, so that's what they do. So yeah, anybody have anything else to say on any of the run-ups before we jump into Game of the Year? Yeah. All right, let's go with Cody first for Game of the Year.
Okay. My Game of the Year, kind of another story-driven game, but I'm gonna go with Silent Hill 2.
Solid pick.
I feel weird picking it just because it's kind of a remake. I don't really fall into all the controversy with it not, kind of being up for, Game of the Year for any of the game awards or anything, because it was a solid game. I mean, I've been waiting for
Before we jump into that real quick, let's talk about that real fast. And
Right.
obviously, if anyone here disagrees with me, that's fine. But if the game was built from the ground up and released in 2024, it's can be Game of the Year. It's a game that came out in 2024. The DLC one gets a little murky because we have to start talking about how big the DLC was, if it's an expansion, if it's 3 horse armors or something like that. Like that gets, and obviously that's an old reference. But when it comes to remakes, I get if people don't respect it, right? But I don't think there's an issue with it coming out because the game was built from the ground. It's not a remaster. They didn't just clean it up. That game was built from the ground up. It's a brand new game. It just follows the same thing that existed before. So that's my take on it. But I respect anybody who's like, I still think they should have gave it to someone else. That's fine. I agree with you. But Bloober and anybody who made every Final Fantasy VII is a remake. It's a little more than a remake, but it's a remake. These are brand new games, and they've released in 2024. I think they're completely viable to be picked for Game of the Year. That's my thoughts.
No, I agree. That's why it needs to. It needs to be just needs to be praised because it's just, I mean, everything from the music, the sound design, the actors that played the characters. I mean, because the original, we had already kind of like something in our heads when it came to the characters in the original, and this one kind of just made it fresh and new and kind of new in a game that's a remake. So I mean, like you said, it's built from the ground up. I mean, I still listen to the soundtrack pretty much like every day. It's just amazing. I mean, it was scary. I mean, it scared the shit out of me. There's a couple times where I just like didn't want to keep playing.
It's truly fucking terrifying, and that's coming from somebody who does not get scared in games very easily. I was so happy with how relentlessly, aggressively fucking unhinged the horror in that game was. I was like, thank you. This game needs to be terrifying, not like, ooh, a jump scare, ooh, a jump scare. I want to look down a hallway, hear my radio going off, and go, oh, fuck, okay, what's down here? And then just slowly start walking down that hallway. That's what Silent Hill has always been about, and Bloober fucking nailed that.
Exactly. No, it just, it's so dark. And then, but when you get out to the open areas and the fog is just its own thing. I mean, that's crazy. I just walked from the beginning when you start in the car, and I just walked the entire way, just like taking it.
Yep.
This is so crazy. And then when you get into a dark area, you're just like almost just dread comes over you. You're just like, fuck, this is gonna be like 90% of the game is in these like dark areas where you don't know what the hell's going on, and it's like legitimately like some parts were kind of difficult. I mean, it wasn't super hard, but you actually had to like, the combat was viable, it was decent. You didn't just have to, because that's my worries with it when I saw the trailer was just like people unloading with shotguns, and I was like, oh fuck, but you really don't get a lot of those rounds. I mean, and when you get them, you hold on to them. So
Yeah.
using melee attacks and stuff, and just honestly just running past enemies.
Yeah, you found like 2 bullets here, 1 here, 3 there, and I'm gonna need these at some point, so I'm gonna try not to use them. And I just like try to beat my way through the fucking simple enemies. So when I ran to something I really didn't want to get close to, I'd shoot it. But yeah, you had to think about it, you had to strategize.
Oh yeah, the bosses were great.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just in itself was just like they were just their own thing. I mean, they still sit with me. It's not just a great game. I think it just really in a game like you were saying, just like overall, this has just been a good year for games. Like in this, we got this.
Yep.
It just needs, it just everyone should give it a try, even if you're not a horror fan, just to take it in. I mean, even the soundtracks are just, I mean, it's just amazing. Just the fact that they
I agree that people should try it out, but it is scary. So if you're not good on horror, this game's not gonna hold your
and
hand.
they even make it scarier because I guess in like the updates, like I haven't played it in a while, but there were updates where they made certain rooms. Like there was one towards the end. Won't give too much away, but the walls would breathe.
Yeah.
Like you would see the walls like moving in and out, like it was like you're inside of a lung or something. And I was just like, that they're adding creepiness to the game. It's like, let's make it more. And then actually, I think they ended up getting rid of it because people said it was like too jarring.
Yeah, it was like triggering to people because of it's during the I forgot his name, the daddy thing.
Yeah.
I can't believe I can't remember his name, but
Abstract Daddy.
Huh?
Abstract Daddy.
Yes. It's during that scene, and that the context of that story is grim. So like that added to it, I think probably triggered a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
Which is fine because it's supposed to be disturbing. So.
And that area is already claustrophobic as fuck.
Oh yeah.
Like it's already small rooms, and you're trying to like look for a way out. So.
Yep.
But yeah, it stuck with me, and I still think about it. It's just gonna be a game that I'm definitely, around October, probably even before that, just play just to get another round in. But
Yep.
kind of same sort of thing when Resident Evil, when those games came out, like 2 came out, it was the same thing. It was just like, man, I'm gonna be playing these games
So good.
For years to come.
Yeah, I need to go
Exactly.
back and play that one because that one, I think, is probably one of the best survival horror games I've played.
Right.
The remake of
Right.
2, it's fucking great.
Mhm.
And it's
so good.
actually creepy. Like, they did a good job actually making it feel claustrophobic. Whereas, like, in Resident Evil 4, which I think is also a fucking great remake, that game's not that scary. That game's just fun as shit to play.
Fucking just wham bam shooting shit.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But 2 actually had that claustrophobic tight quarters pacing that 2 originally had. So they
Yeah.
definitely respected it.
Yeah, and all the endings are there too.
Yep.
So it's like it was kind
And
of
more.
funny to see. Yeah, and more. And so there was like it's funny to hear other people's endings that they got, and I think I got the good ending. I liked the ending that I got. So, but there was like a couple where I'm like, just like the original, where it's just like you're one or two things here and there away from getting the other ending, so it just makes you want to replay it and get that ending.
Yeah.
It adds replayability there too. But
And the
but yeah,
chainsaw made a
overall-
return, which is cool. So like you play
yeah.
again just for that.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. Overall, just great game. It just really stuck with me. Like I said, just another solid single player game.
Yeah. Well, very good pick. I agree with you on that. Let's go with Josh, Game of the Year.
Game of the Year is Dragon's Dogma 2.
Oh, shit.
I believe this game got kind of the short end of a lot of sticks when it came to the Game of the Year discussion. Because, this is the year of metagame storytelling for me, I guess. Because all these games, there's stories that you come from the game with and tell your friends and anybody else who's interested to listen, I guess. Because the whole world is it's just big and everybody's in it, that you're going to come across something that like you never really seen. And then all of a sudden, you talk to your friend and go, oh man, yeah, I saw a cyclops in the woods at fucking night. And I was just walking with my lantern and I look in the trees and one of the trees started moving and I was like, oh shit. And then now you're fighting the cyclops in the middle of the night and you just see everybody's lanterns fucking in the dark, and all of a sudden you see one get thrown way off into the fucking over the trees, and everybody's just fighting for their life.
Dragon's Dogma
No.
2, just like the first game, has one of the most interesting and dynamic melee combat systems I've seen in almost any action game. You never know what a fight's gonna be like. It's not like the enemy you're fighting has a health bar. You just walk up and hit it, make sure you don't get hit or block. You have to like make sure they don't like grab you and fucking throw you across the area. You gotta like climb the motherfucker. He might take off and start flying, and now you're in the sky. Like there's all sorts of crazy shit that can happen in any fight scenario. That is a game where you can have a story that someone else just couldn't have had the exact same story because it would have panned out completely different.
Mm-hmm. No, I think all the classes were actually fun to play.
Yep. Exciting to unlock.
Yeah, and once you did, they were cool. They were fun. They all had like a dozen skills apiece, and you can only use 3 or 4 at a time. So it's like Jesus, like there's a lot of replayability there. The world was vast as hell. It really kind of made me. I'm ultimately against like fast travel to anywhere in the world. I do like how Seth, you and I just talked about this, like how Morrowind did fast travel, where it's like you can like go to city.
Yeah, a game that
like,
forces you to walk through the world, you get more from it. When you start fast traveling too much, you're now not having the experience of the world they built, the enemies they built, the individual things you can find on the adventure. It just turns into like, well, I need the quest there, and you start just kind of checking things off and going back and forth. And not that I would want fast travel to go away completely, but I like a system like Dragon's Dogma 2, like Morrowind, where you have to go to specific locations. There's still a journey to get to those fast travel locations.
The taxi system, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That and like weird shit could happen when you're fast traveling.
Yep.
Like I think I got attacked one time by a minotaur, and I jumped out of the cart, and then I was using the 2-handed sword, and I did this move where I did like a fucking like a swing, and it kind of did like a little like force wave, and the whole cart just fucking blew apart. And then everybody just ran away. And then once I killed the Minotaur, I was just in the middle in between these 2 cities. I was like, oh, fuck, all right. And then I just had to walk the rest of the way. And it's just little small shit like that happens, honestly, all the fucking time when you're out there in the world just getting into shit. The pawn system's really cool. I'm really surprised more games don't have something-ish like that. Like, and I don't even rate the pawn system like up there to like the Nemesis systems from the Lord of the Rings, Shadow of War games.
Oh yeah, that's another thing I am surprised more people haven't used.
Yeah. That's right.
It's patented by WB, so I mean, but I think that the pawn system is really cool. Like pawns will come into your party, and like sometimes they'll even talk shit. You know, like they'll be like, "You like having girls in your party, huh? That's kind of weird." I'm like, oh, all right, let's fucking relax. And
Yeah, and they'll talk about other parties they've been in too, which is interesting.
And same with your pawn.
Yeah.
You know, your own pawn will be like, hey, when I was summoned to the world, there's a treasure chest over here I saw, or there's a treasure chest around here.
Or I
was
need
like,
to go tell my master when I return that where this location's at and stuff like that. So.
And it really had a sense of community in that aspect, even though you weren't. Which, by the way, fucking huge miss. Like, just that's the closest thing to like a D&D game I think you would ever get to if you could just have fucking your party with co-op people.
Oh yeah.
And Elden Ring co-op are both very like D&D-esque adventures.
And but yeah, so that was a little bit of a miss, but I thought the story was, I don't know, it was kind of wild, if I'm going to be honest. But the Dragon's Dogma story has always been wild. To get the true ending, I thought was you had to do something a little weird they never really ever explained, which was cool. I know I said the world was vast already, but it was pretty intense. Like you spend half the game in this northern area, and then you go to the desert area, and you're like, "Fuck, this is a whole nother island." You know, like
there's a whole section in the fucking northwest you don't even have to go to.
Yeah.
It's a whole area, and like there's like one NPC that will take you up there for some reason, but like in the main quest, you don't have to go up there for anything.
Mm-mm.
So it's just like
And
a bonus section.
yeah, which is really not really awesome because it's just um, that those little things are always nice. Um, Fucking dragons that are just flying around. All of a sudden, like your palm be like, "Hey, there's a dragon over there," and then all of a sudden it'll come into attack. And it's like, well, either I'm fighting this thing or I'm running. And there's been times I've been knocked into the fucking water and killed and all sorts of shit. Um, or I've gotten knocked off like a cliff, and then all of a sudden my guy hits the ground. It's like, do I need to use a resurrection stone because it just fucking killed me instantly.
Mm-hmm.
I've been on the back of a griffin and I couldn't drop it, and when my stamina ran, I just died. I fell from fucking a mile above the earth.
Yeah, it happened to me one time. I was like flying around on something, and like I think it was the last boss or something. I was flying around up on that thing, and as I was running out of stamina, he was trying to whip me off and shit. I like looked over, and on the other side of the arena, my whole team was just over there. I'm like, okay, you guys aren't catching me. And I just fell off and died. I was like fucking sick, dude.
Yeah, which is a really cool like mechanic too. There's been a couple times I've fallen, and all of a sudden like the warrior or the other fucking person in my party like catches me, kind of sets me down. I was like, well, damn, that was intense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I've caught my own party members. Of course, I've also chucked my own party members.
Yeah, I've
You can
seen
just grab
videos of people
fucking
throwing
anything.
people down, and then they'll have them catch them when they jump down and shit.
Yeah,
It's just ridiculous.
and yeah, it was just the game had so many stories. The gameplay was unparalleled because, like you said, there's not a whole lot of third-person action games that have a melee system like that. Even the magic's fun to watch. Like, it's really fucking intense when you can sit there and watch your caster and they're just in their own little world, and all of a sudden there's a meteor shower. And even after, like, you kill whatever it is, it's still just slamming into the fucking earth. And so yeah, there's not a whole lot of games that'll give you stories like that, and Dragon's Dogma is definitely one of them.
Yeah, I agree. Game was definitely solid. I actually when I was playing through it, I was like, this is my game of the year 2024 for sure. And then when I beat it, I forgot what the fuck the thing was, but when you beat it, I think there's a new game plus, but things don't. I don't think things.
No scaling.
Huh?
No scaling.
Yeah, no scaling. So like the XP gain was like minuscule. And I was like, that kind of fucking sucks. So I think I just got kind of upset with the way they did that. It's not necessarily bad. I played through the game. It was fucking solid. I really enjoyed it. And I think the biggest weakness of the game was probably the story, but the gameplay, and the story's fine. I actually thought some of the ways they did things was actually really smart, but especially the end. But the gameplay is just fucking amazing. Like no one really compares to. Like I want another fucking Dragon's Dogma already. I want a 3 because 2 was just so fucking good and so much better than the first game, while still maintaining so much of what the first game did, which was way the hell ahead of its time. The only game that could catch up to Dragon's Dogma 1 was Dragon's Dogma 2. No one else has really made an open world action RPG like that, since. Especially in a world where everybody was trying to copy fucking Dark Souls for so long. Dragon's Dogma is like, yeah, we'll make a medieval fantasy game too, but we're gonna like really emphasize combat and action and really offer crazy shit you can do that you can't do in other games, and that's still the case. So I would have also really liked to see multiplayer. I wonder if there's a mod. I would totally play that multiplayer. Just 'cause the pawns are there already. All you have to do is let someone control somebody, and you'd be good. But yeah, not being able to play. I think going back, I could probably just play from the beginning again and enjoy myself. But I think I was just so fucking into the game as I was playing it. When I beat it, I really wanted to keep playing it, and there was not much reason for me to keep playing it outside of combat. But combat got too easy for my characters. That's another reason I wanted scaling. Is like all the enemies that gave me no XP, I was killing way too quick, and I was like, that kind of sucks. So hopefully they release a DLC that I can use, my leveled up characters against, enemies that actually matter now. So, but yeah, otherwise, I think it's a great pick for Game of the Year. It's it's easily one of the best games of 2024. Like, I can't think of a whole lot of games I would say are better than it. Like, it's great. So I think it's a good pick. Okay, so we've done 2 of you guys. Let's go Chevy.
Okay. And this one was mostly just a process of elimination for me. And that's not a knock at the game, but it just kind of had to be my game of the year. And that game is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. One of the only games I sat down and played through the whole thing and beat it. So it was, is, I should say, a very good looking game. The music is very good, and there's a ton of it in the game, but that is a quality of Square Enix as a company. All their games are very musically heavy. The game was full of stuff to do, sometimes to its detriment, I would say. I have some complaints on that, especially the open world stuff. I think becomes a little bit cut and repeat, and I think there could have been a little less of it to shorten up the game a little bit, because I was getting fatigued by the time I got to the end. But I do think the way they handled storytelling, and can't say too much because it's all spoilers, but some of the, how do I word this? The back and forths, just say, were a little confusing at first, and then started making more sense as you went through the game, which is good, because at first I was like, "What the hell are we doing, guys?" And it cleared up, so that was good that they were able to handle that. The combat is a lot better than the one before it, even though it's very similar. They definitely went and improved it a bit, and they also, because you have more characters, you have more options for combat, which I think was a lot more fun. I especially enjoyed playing as Yuffie. I think she's a lot of fun, which is funny to me because in the original Final Fantasy VII, I didn't like using her at all. So that was a fun twist. In the original game, I was pretty much a hard Cloud, Tifa, Barret team, and in this one, it was like Cloud, Yuffie, and Tifa, I think, most of the time. Tifa's just awesome in both of these games. So
Yeah, she's one of my go-tos for sure.
yeah, she's a lot of fun. Though I do like, situationally, I would like to play Red as well. He was fun. But yeah, overall, I think they did a really good job. I still have some weird hesitations because, like, I need the story to be over to have an overall arcing opinion of the remakes as a whole.
That's how I felt
But
about the
as a
first
standalone
game.
you're going to get your money worth and more. It is a massive game. It's all quality. There's plenty to do. I did all but one quest in the game, and only because I refused to go grind the gold saucer. And yeah, it was fun. I had a lot of fun with it. I would suggest anyone who's not played either of them to go through and play them, especially if you're not necessarily a fan of JRPGs, because the action combat, I think, makes it a little more accessible for some people. I am more, personally, a preference of the turn-based, but they handled it very well, and every character feels different. So
Yeah, I still need to beat that game. I've played it like 20 some hours, maybe 30, but I got kind of worn out on all the open field shit you got to go run around and do, and it's good. It's there because that was the big complaint of the first game. They didn't have enough extra shit to do. This game's definitely making up for it, but because I was allowing myself to go do it, I think I got fatigued. But the overall experience, I think, even though I'm not too far into the story, I feel like it's kind of lulled where I'm at. I think the gameplay and all that stuff has all been improved and handled better than the first game. The first game was definitely like them trying it out. But yeah, I need to play it more before I can even have a hard opinion on it. That's one of the games that might be on another list later in this episode that I might be mentioning. So
yeah, I got some this year. So
yeah,
but, yeah, I'm also looking forward to PC people being able to play it because it's coming out this year. So
yeah, I might just buy it on PC and play it there. I don't know. We'll see. It's not very smart of me to do that because I've already put so much time into the PS5 version, but I will actually sit here and play it like I'm playing Metaphor right now. So
yeah,
good pick though. I just need to play it further before I can even talk more on it because I don't have the frame reference. Did either of you guys play it?
No.
No.
Oh, well, that makes it simple enough.
On my backlog list.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, all good picks. I'll go with my game of the year, and I got to go with Silent Hill 2. I agree with Cody. It is also my game of the year, which I think is kind of a fun pick for me because I was with a lot of people in their hesitations of this game when it first got announced. I was like, Bloober's unproven. They haven't made anything that could even signify that they could make a remake of a game that is that beloved. And I said many, many times it's a gamble. If you guys fuck this up, you guys are over. Like you're not going to get another chance. But if you nail it, people are going to love you because it's one of the most beloved horror games ever made. And they fucking crushed it. They didn't just make a decent remake, which is all I was hoping for. Just don't fuck it up. They made a game that exceeded my expectations in almost every single way. And it was like a slow uphill climb because I remember watching some of the trailers, and even as their trailers are coming out, I was like, combat doesn't look that good. Gunshots don't seem impactful. The game's too bright. I had all these things I was kind of worried about. And a lot of that might have been just because I was like, protecting my love for the original Silent Hill 2. But the final product, and as those trailers came out, it started looking better and better and better. But the final product, I think my only complaint in the whole fucking game is James is illuminated in dark places. And I kind of hate that because the rest of the room's like pitch black except for where your flashlight's out. But you can see James like perfectly. That's such a minor nitpick. It's not a complaint at all. That's all I have. Other than that, the game is fucking phenomenal. The graphics are gorgeous. It is a beautifully rendered game on a technical graphical basis. And beyond that, the visual design of the game is phenomenal. If you are a Silent Hill fan at all, you look at Fog and you're like, oh, it's Silent Hill. I love Silent Hill. It's got this cool aesthetic. They fucking knocked it out of the park. Like Cody was saying, you start the game in the parking lot, and I like ran to every single fucking corner of that parking lot, and I was just looking at everything going like, holy shit. I walk up to the tunnel and the sound changes. Like you hear like the ambient forest sound in the wind, and then you go near the tunnel, you can hear like water dripping and weird clanking down there. I'm like, you didn't even have to add that. Like most people, I don't know, maybe a lot of people aren't even gonna like run over to this tunnel to look at it, but you added sound design to it. And then you're walking through the woods, and every step has different sounds, whether you're walking through the mud or the grass or concrete. It's just like so detailed in its sound design. This is the stuff I'm talking about when I talk about sound design. They did such a great job, met with these eerie, beautiful, grim visuals that are just haunting but like gorgeous. And then contrasted with like when you go to like the more hellscape areas that are like rust and pitch black, and the music's just pounding and terrifying. If you're into like dark horror, macabre shit, grim stuff, I mean, like, this is why Silent Hill 2 is legendary, is because it's like it's masterful in the way that it presents that. And Bloober just like did it. They did it so well, and it's like it's awesome to see because, like I said, I didn't have faith in Bloober. I was like, you got to prove yourself when you make this game, and they did. And now I'm like, make another one. That's the best endorsement I can give you. I was worried about your Silent Hill 2 remake. Now I'm like, make another remake. You guys, nobody else. You guys do it. They knocked it out of the park. The small changes they made in the game feel great without changing the game too much. Combat is slightly different, but feels good. It's still kind of slow and clumsy. Shooting feels kind of not super accurate, but feels more lethal than when you're fighting with like a melee weapon. The melee combat feels kind of clunky, even though the dodge is the iframes are very liberal. Like when you dodge, you're not getting hit. But there's this like pauses between it, so you can't do it constantly. The story is done really well. The voice acting is phenomenal. It's like, of course, I miss the original because it's like it adds to how more bizarre Silent Hill 2 is, with like the voice acting not being the best in the world. It's just kind of weird. But that they got like legitimate voice actors. Not saying the originals weren't, but the standards were different back then. But they got like actors doing these parts in this game. They do a great job. The guy who played James is great. The person who plays Mary is great. they did a great job. Eddie's much more like, you know, disturbing than he is like goofy, like in the original game. So the whole time you can kind of feel that creeping, like, something unsettling about that dude. Like, I'm going to keep meeting this guy and things are not going well. Every time I meet this guy, it gets worse and worse. The amount they added to Silent Hill, different locations, was awesome as well. There's just more to see, which is great. And man, I could just talk about every single fucking thing in this game. The lighting's fantastic. The fog tech is fucking awesome. To see the fog in the background that obscures your vision, but also the fog in the foreground that's like passing by you in the wind. It's like perfectly done. The music is phenomenal. Akira Yamaoka came back. I mean, I've been listening to this dude since the original Silent Hill. A lot of people have. I'm one of them. He was super influential for me in my own music. To hear him come back and like redo these songs is just like the respect the game is owed, because I've always said that like 50% of Silent Hill's identity is Akira Yamaoka's music. That world is already great, but it just has this fucking cool but terrifying vibe because of the music. It has its own vibe that no other game can capture. So yeah, if Akira Yamaoka can't do the music for it, it's not going to be the same, and that's just how much pressure there is on his music having to be in the game, which is fucking crazy. I can't think of that as being a thing in a lot of games. Maybe Final Fantasy, they've had like 2 composers, right?
Well, yeah, I mean 2 major ones.
Yeah, and I feel similar to that. Like, you would have to, if you can't nail that fantasy high, that hyper sound and beautiful sound that Final Fantasy has, you don't really have Final Fantasy. You have to have that like operatic but also speedy music that they have. It's hard to describe. Silent Hill's the same. These are games that just rely on their soundtrack so much. And yeah, so game of the year for me, just the impact. I beat that game and I was like, they fucking did it, man. They did it. And that's all they had to do, is they just had to nail it. Or they just had to do it and be acceptable. It would have been fine. It's better than I expected. And Silent Hill 2, the original, is already one of my favorite games ever made. So you re-release that, completely remade and improve it. That was always going to be an easy game of the year for me. It overrided my thoughts on most games, just because when I beat it, I had that moment of going like, fucking damn, dude, that was like really good. Like, you guys just knocked out of the park. Like, thank you for that. Let's get another game. And now Bloober is going to get the rewards of, making a great game that people wanted in that their new game. I will probably pick up when it comes out, just because of how well they did with this. So, and if they make another Silent Hill game, I'll be playing it. Like, I won't be like, I don't know. They proved themselves. So I think that deserves something. It does feel kind of unfair, though, just because it is a remake of a game I already love, because there's other great games that came out this year. Dragon's Dogma 2 was a game I heavily considered putting in my top 3, just because it was fucking fantastic. And it is a brand new sequel game. But yeah, I was just so impressed with how they handled Silent Hill 2. I was never bored. I fucking just loved the whole experience. So it was very well made. And that's my game of the year. So 2 Silent Hills for game of the year. We got Dragon's Dogma 2 game of the year and Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth for game of the year. So let us know in the comments. What do you think about our picks? Did we get it right? Did we get it wrong? And what was your pick for game of the year? And yeah, no wrong answers. Everybody's got their own. That's why we do it this way every year. So before we close out, let's talk about our biggest gaming regrets. If you guys have any, if you don't, that's fine.
You want to do any shout-outs first?
Oh, yeah. Let's do shout-outs first. I'll start real quick, just to get them knocked out real fast. So my shout-outs go to Dragon's Dogma 2, a game that is likely in my top 5 games of the year. I fucking love Dragon's Dogma 2. I regret... It was literally going to be my number 3, but then I bumped Mouthwashing up just because of the impact of Mouthwashing. I fucking loved it. But Dragon's Dogma 2, gameplay-wise, like, probably one of the most fun games to play in 2024. Like, just gameplay alone, one of the best, easily. Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2, also another game that was almost in my top 3. It's probably in my top 5. Another game that just was super solid, super fun, just owns its own identity It is what it is, and there's not really a game like it. The closest thing is World War Z, but it differentiates itself from it with its combat quite a bit. So I love Space Marine 2. I'd like to return to it. A big shout out to a game that I wanted to be in my top 3, but I can't put it in my top 5 just because it's not finished, is Stalker 2, Heart of Chernobyl. I fucking love this game, but the AI is still not where it's supposed to be. The spawning is still kind of fucked up. It's got some issues, but when it comes to graphics, which are phenomenal, atmosphere, which is phenomenal, gameplay, which is brutal and just amazing, especially for me, it's like very tactical. You can get killed really quickly. The game is so good, and if it was completely finished, and it's completely understandable, these guys are based in Ukraine. They've been through some shit. So if anyone has an excuse on why they couldn't have finished a game fully, it's them. No hard feelings. I understand. It's just my gameplay experience. I want it to be in my top 3. It couldn't be just because it's not finished. But when it is, I'll be regretting not putting it in my top 3 likely, because it's like game of the year material. I fucking love it so far. The other one is Path of Exile 2 in early access. This game is fucking solid. It's awesome. Last time I played, the loot was kind of messed up. A lot of people agreed on that. Maybe they fixed it since then. This game in the coming year is going to be so fucking good. It's already really good. But I wanted to shout it out just because it's early access. It's not in the place where it needs to be for me to consider it in my top 3. But I consider shouting it out. I can't talk about this too much because we have to talk about the end of the year or end of the month very soon, not end of the year. Metaphor ReFantasio, I think, deserves a shout out. It is a big, full of content, very, very unique, especially visually, JRPG that I think is a must play from 2024 if you haven't played it. I can't talk about this because we have to review it. Yeah. But it gets a shout out, so I guess that's a little revealing. And then the big shout out that I feel so conflicted about is Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, which is it's a great game, or a great DLC to a great game. The reason it didn't make my top even 5 and why I was kind of on people's side when it came to the Game Awards and it not being nominated for Game of the Year. It was, but I didn't want it to be. It's not necessarily just because it's a DLC. I just feel like other games maybe deserved that spot over it because I loved the DLC, but it wasn't as good as the base game. And the base game was my game of the year. So I love Elden Ring, but it wasn't as good as the base game. And so for that alone, like it's great, it's fine, but there's a couple things about it that I kind of didn't love, and so for that I couldn't put it in my top 5. But it is a great DLC. It's a great chunk of content if you've already done everything in Elden Ring, and it's worth playing through at least once. I don't know if I'd play through it a second time, just because the shadow fragment thing is not my favorite thing in the world. But yeah, it deserves a shout out. But yeah, that's about it. So those are my shout outs. Who wants to go next?
I'll shout out. I only have one, and
okay.
That's 2, I guess. Infinite Wealth, Yakuza Infinite Wealth. This didn't even reach my top 3 because I think it's actually like a weaker game than Yakuza 7 was.
I agree with that. Yeah,
I like the new locale. Hawaii was great. The whole game is just packed full of shit. There's literally fucking Pokemon.
So much to do.
And there's Pokemon Snap. And there's an Animal Crossing-esque island that you can go to and fix up.
Dondoko.
There is so much to do in that game. It's insane. I think the job systems just carry over from 7. They're fucking cool and awesome. But I also think the story, in my opinion, the storyline's lacking. I did not get invested in this game at all until chapter 9, and by then it seemed like the story was just kind of meandering, and things were kicking up, and then they would just cool off, and then I was like, all right, well, and then I lost my nut, and then they would start to kick off again, and then it would cool off. I'm like, fuck, man, dude, let's just go.
I'm here to find my mom. Your mom? I think I know your mom. Let's go find your mom. Okay, let's find my mom. Okay, yeah. This is gonna go on for a while. Fucking let's get some shit happening here.
and then I'm gonna get betrayed, and it's like, hey, I know your mom. It's like, hey, you do, and then they betray you. It's like, and then this guy's like, hey, I know your mom, and it's like, really?
Yeah.
It's like, come,
It just
it's like,
goes on.
Ichiban, I get it.
Yeah.
I get that you're the happy-go-lucky dude that looks for the best in fucking everybody.
And then that
but in
creepy
this
guy
game,
comes in your fucking hotel room and starts getting fucking rowdy. I'm just like, this guy fucking snake lips, dude. Get this guy out of here.
I beat the shit out of that guy with all the fucking tables and
True,
shit in
dude.
there.
I beat his ass.
He was fucking done. But which is funny because he turns out to be one of my favorite characters by the end of the game.
I kind of figured.
And the whole thing, like, also the whole thing with, like, I get that they're scared to actually kill Kiryu off because he's in this game too. But Yakuza's gonna have to move forward eventually, and they've already taken steps to show that he's old.
I think they need to
So-
move on from him because it's like when you watch Mike Tyson fucking go out there and fight someone, you're like, he shouldn't be fighting anyone now. Like, he's too old for
Those
the shit.
assless chaps, dude.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It just kind of like made almost a mockery of his whole legacy by him even being half naked and fucking going out there and just like surviving getting hit a lot. And I'm just like, this is rough. And with Kiryu, I'm like, yeah, it's cool he's here because like he's beloved and shit, but like, I don't know, you're just like kind of weakening his whole legacy by him just kind of being a tag along that's like, I don't know.
And that's what was cool. And that's what was cool about 7 was that he like showed up.
Mm-hmm.
All the major players kind of showed up. It was like, oh shit, this is badass.
Yeah.
You know, but like getting to know him like again after, you know, knowing him all this time, it was kind of like, all right, dude, I get it. Like, he just walks around with big dicks all of Japan, and then you know, it's like, fucking just let him die though, let him go. But like I said, I thought the story was lacking, but that's one of my biggest shout outs. That's my only shout out of 2024.
Yeah, I need to beat it, but I would give a soft shout out to that as well. But I do agree. The reason I haven't finished it yet is because I was doing Dondoko Island too much, and I was like, what the fuck was I doing in this game? Like, I'm just playing Animal Crossing. What the fuck? Like, and then I got back to the story. I'm like, you guys are still talking about this shit? Okay. Like, I'm just sitting there fucking just like, okay, let's go. Like, I like the combat in this game, so I'll beat people's ass, but hopefully the story gets better.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's my only shout out.
It was awesome playing the game right after the beating the last one because there's all these grass hedges that you couldn't like. You had to run around them. There's invisible walls, and then as soon as I started playing the new one in the exact same area I knew from the last game, he just like will vault shit and run through bushes, and I'm like, oh my god, fucking this is peak. Thank you.
Yeah.
You fucking changed everything with that one small detail that people probably didn't even notice because they took a bigger break between the games than I did. So yeah, they made all these like really good improvements. Also, the positional combat I think is really neat. That you can like walk around people and like throw them into walls and shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of. I mean, it was kind of what they did in 7 anyway. Because in 7 they would like move around and like.
Yeah, but they would do it on their own.
Yeah, like as an actual fight, they would just kind of do it. But now you can actually like set things up.
Yeah, you can set like combos up and shit. So
the only problem is sometimes they would kind of wander on their own when I'm like trying to heal, and I'm like get in the fucking circle, you bastard! Like I was like, you were just right next to me. Like, what the fuck is your problem?
Everybody's just out there walking around doing capoeira and shit. And it's like, fucking chill out for just 5 seconds.
Exactly.
So nothing else?
No.
All right, Cody, got anything?
Just one randomly, and it's only because I just started playing it the last couple days, but I'll give it a shout out anyway. But Marvel Rivals, it's super fun. I mean, they just basically took Overwatch and just fixed all the shit that people complained about the characters in that game, and they just fucking knocked it out of the park.
Took
It's
Overwatch
super
and
fun
made
to
it
play.
good.
Pretty much. I mean, not that Overwatch is bad. I mean, I played a lot of that, more so the year prior. But yeah, and it's just super popular, and it's gonna be around for a long time. But super fun. Actually, I just kind of stayed away from it for a little while because I was like, dude, I don't want to get into another Overwatch type game. And then I started playing, and I'm like, oh yeah, now I'm kind of addicted. So.
Yeah.
Been fucking with Magneto, mostly playing tank. but all the characters tried Wolverine out. He's ridiculous. Um, Support Cloak and Dagger is pretty cool. Yeah, every character class is like super fun to play, and all the abilities are cool. I even thought Spider-Man would be kind of lame, and he's ridiculous. Plays Venom too. It's super fun. I didn't think I'd really be into like Marvel stuff at all, but they do a really good job with all the character models, and everything looks
Yeah, that was a clean looking
super
game.
good. Yeah, but it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to revisit at some point. I played when it first came out, and like, I think I was putting like a bot match or something. I was like, this is fucking weird because like I had like so many kills, and the other team had like 2 apiece. I'm like, that's not real. I don't think that happened. But maybe in the
Right.
beginning, it like puts you up against bots to kind of test you or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
That was never
probably. I mean, it
confirmed.
gets pretty rough. I mean, I've been playing the last couple days, and you definitely get put into some matches where it's a lot tougher. But
Yeah.
there are a lot of matches where I'm like 20-3, or a lot of those matches, and I'm just like, there's no way I'm this good. But
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, this is my first match ever, and I just got like 34 kills and fucking 2 deaths. Like, I don't believe that at all.
Yeah.
I'd love to just be like, hell yeah, I'm that good, but I've like never played this shit. I don't know. But it seems high quality, and people are playing the fuck out of it. So they
Right.
definitely had like an easy way in with Marvel, but to keep people, the game's got to be solid. And people are playing it, and I think it's because
yeah.
people are overall unhappy with Overwatch 2 for the most part, and so to get something similar to that, that's also high quality and exciting to
Very
play and has
similar.
cool characters, I think they nailed it. So they did a good job with it.
Was that the only match you played? Was just that one?
No, I played 3 matches. That first one just really set the thing for me. I played the Baby Shark guy, and I just fucking annihilated.
Fucking Jeff, dude. Hey, Jeff.
Did you win them all?
Yeah.
100% win rate, baby.
There you go.
That's my
Nice.
record, dude. I never had a bad kitty. My kitty's probably fucking insane, dude. I don't even know what it is. It's probably like fucking 40 or something.
I played one match as Venom, and I won, and I was like 100%. I was like, I'm
That's it.
out.
You know?
I'm out. I'm done.
Yeah.
Still 100% win rate on multiverses, too. Fucking come at me.
Oh, hell yeah.
True.
Now we're talking.
All right. You got anything
Um,
else?
No, that's it.
Okay. Chevy, got any shout-outs?
Yeah, I have 2.
Okay.
I'm gonna also say Dragon's Dogma 2. The only reason it didn't make my list is because I tried playing it twice and it failed to hook me both times. I do think it's fun, but I suffer when it comes to open world games. I can't focus and just like play them. I just wander around until I shut it off, and I don't come back to them a lot of times. So.
Yeah.
The other issue I have with the game is I don't love playing most of the classes in the game. And so I was getting frustrated while leveling other things because I just wasn't having fun with it. So, but outside of that, the stuff I did like about the game, I really liked. So I do think it's a really good game, and I think it deserves some attention for sure. So. My other shout out is Final Fantasy XIV Dawn Trail expansion.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a whole game, but it is a whole expansion, which is in Final Fantasy XIV is basically a game length adventure. So, the only reason it didn't make my list is because the first half of it, I didn't like. So,
I mean,
the
that's fair.
story was meh, and the characters were also meh in the first half. And I was expecting the story to be slow because the major story is over, and so we're starting over now. But I felt the length of that first half for sure, and it was compounded by me just not giving a shit about the characters they introduced, and that did not change for the whole expansion. I do not like the characters they introduced that much. But that being said, the second half of the story was way better and very interesting. So I was very happy when they went to the second part. It felt like Final Fantasy XIV again to me. I really enjoyed that. So hopefully that's the path we continue on now, is that kind of storytelling. And I give them credit for experimenting. They need to. They can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again. So I just think it was a little bit of a miss personally. But yeah, it just wasn't what I wanted it to be in my top 3 at all. So.
Yeah, it's interesting because in past years, if there's a Final Fantasy expansion that's typically in your I think it's normally your game of the year or something. So, and it wasn't even in your top 3, so that's kind of really interesting.
Well, the last 2 were just phenomenal. So
Yeah.
it's a pretty high bar to try to hit for them. So.
And I haven't heard much about it in a while because I completely forgot it came out. So that's also interesting. But at least it's an MMO, and whatever they release next or whatever expansion or whatever they add to the story can, eventually make that into something worth your time being invested, especially with characters that you might not be into now. Maybe later they'll make them really interesting, and then you'll completely forget about how you weren't into them before. So you might enjoy the growth of, learning to like that character over time or something.
Maybe. I don't know. There's a certain main NPC that if we were done with her, I'd be fucking totally happy with that. So, but the upside is the raid tier is fantastic. This expansion, way better than the last one, in my opinion. So, I know some people like the raid / expansion. I was not as fond of them, but so far this tier has been great.
What's like the big difference?
It's hard to like put it completely in words. I just think the flow of the combat, the mechanics are a lot more interesting. The tier was a little undertuned, like for boss hit points, which is probably a good thing. It allows people to get into it, especially for the first tier. Hopefully, they do make the next tiers a little more of a tighter DPS check. But I don't know. It feels very creative right now. The last expansion, I wasn't like in love with the theme of the raid tier, so it was hard for me to be into it in that regard. And then the boss fights, I just didn't think were fun. That's kind of important if I'm going to be sitting there slamming my head against a wall for hours. So
yeah, that's fair.
Versus like this one, and it's a pretty simple theme. It's an arena, right? You're in a coliseum basically. So real simple, basic. You're providing entertainment for people, and so you fight these people who basically inject themselves with another soul, and it allows them to turn into something else, and then you fight them in this arena. But like the second fight, for example, the gal turns into like partially into a bee, and her whole thing is very like the music's very upbeat and poppy, and there's all these little hearts like flying around. If you get too many of them, you become infatuated and you just stand still for a while. I don't know, it's fun, but if you screw up, it kills everybody. So
it's fucking brutal.
Yeah, that's a very personal responsibility fight, and your screw ups, you usually screw it up for the other 7 people. But that's, you try to make the machine as well oiled as possible so you can get the clear. So
yeah, makes sense. Anything else?
Not in that category, no.
All right. Anybody have any shout outs left? None you guys thought of? Okay, let's move on to regrets. This is basically a game that you regret you didn't play, or a game that you didn't play enough of, or something that you would have liked to consider, but for whatever reason you didn't get enough time to play it. I'll kind of set the pace here real quick. Astrobot was Game of the Year via the Game Awards. I think it looks great. I love everything that they've done with Astrobot before. I haven't played it. I need to play it. I just haven't really been in a platformer mood, but it looks fucking awesome, and I regret not playing it. Black Myth, I feel like I need to play, just because a lot of people really loved it. A lot of people said it was Game of the Year. It looks graphically great. I'll get around to playing at some point, but I do regret not playing that at all. Another game I regret not playing is Animal Well. A lot of people talked about that when it first came out. It looks really neat. It's not really my kind of game I would normally play, but just the amount of praise it got, and that every single area you go into has something interesting going on in it, I really appreciate. So I, at some point, will get... What?
I was like, plus we both ended up liking the Ender Lilies game, and that's also kind of a similar genre.
Yeah, maybe this will come out on PlayStation Plus. That'd be great. But yeah, I regret not playing that. I'll play it at some point. If it's on sale or something, I'll pick it up. Another game I regret not playing at all is Stellar Blade. I played the demo when that came out, so I have technically played what the game is like. But yeah, I didn't play the full game. At some point, I would like to. I think it's coming out on PC, right? Yeah, so maybe I'll play it there. But yeah, that's a game. I don't think it would have been my game of the year, but from what I did play, it was pretty solid. So I regret not finishing Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. Solid game. I've really enjoyed the gameplay of it. Story meanders. I'll get around to finishing it at some point, just like I did with the last Yakuza game. But yeah, I want to beat that at some point. I didn't. I failed. Oh well. Game I regret not playing also was Unicorn Overlord. It's a game I am really excited to play. I really want to play it, but I have to play it either on Switch or PS5, right?
Yes.
Yeah, which kind of sucks because I don't use my Switch very often. I never think to use it, and then I don't use my PS5 as often as I would like to. So I will eventually get around to playing that. I really like the games they've made in the past. It looks awesome, sounds awesome. I just haven't played it. Another one is Pacific Drive. This is a game I wanted to play. I still hear people talking about how cool it is. Just haven't played it yet. So I will get around to that eventually. Another back burner. Another regret is Stalker 2. I feel like I should have beaten this game by now, but because I'm in that weird limbo of going like, I want the finished experience, kind of like when Cyberpunk came out. I really enjoyed it a lot when it came out, but it had so many like weird random bugs for everybody. They're all different. Mine were pretty minimal. I didn't want to play through it in an unfinished state because I was like, this isn't what they wanted me to experience. So I waited for updates and eventually, played through it. Same thing with Stalker 2. Stalker 2 is already awesome, but it could be better, and I know it's supposed to be better because I can tell with the way they built the game, certain things are supposed to work differently, and so I regret not having the chance to play through that all the way by my own choice. Last two regrets: Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I regret not finishing that. I would like to finish that at some point for the reasons I stated earlier. And then my last regret is Tekken 8. I didn't play that as much as I should have. I played it, and it's fucking awesome. I just got distracted, started playing other games. So, but luckily with fighting games, they last a while, and I'll pick it back up at some point. But I didn't play it nearly as much as I wanted to. So, yeah, those are my gaming regrets. Chevy, do you have any regrets?
3, and I purchased all of them and just did not play them. So, they're going to be similar to ones you had on your list. So, Unicorn Overlord, I bought, day it came out, tried a little bit. Realized I was already in the middle of playing, I think it was Final Fantasy VII Rebirth at the time. And I was like, I can't do 2 games. And so I had to pick one basically, and then I just didn't go back to it, unfortunately. I'd love to. It's the little bit I played was awesome. It's right up my alley. I like strategy games. I also like the kind of systems that Vanillaware puts in their games. So I'm definitely going to try to get to it this year. Stellar Blade, I also bought, haven't played. I love Nier Automata. It's definitely very inspired. To the fact that the point that they have a collab now is hilarious to me. I also, want to a little bit biased. I like the company who makes the game, so I'm also just kind of wanting to support them.
Yeah.
And then, even though I'm playing it now, Metaphor Re Fantasio, I did not play as much as I should have last year when it came out. So that was a big regret of mine because I feel like I should have been done with it by now. So, but didn't happen. So.
Yeah, I'm trying to make up for that myself right now. I'm like right at the end of it, so I'm gonna beat that and pick another JRPG to finish. Because I can only do one at a time.
Yeah. But yeah, those are my biggest regrets of last year.
All right. I was gonna say good picks, but hopefully get a chance to play those.
Right.
Cody, you got any regrets?
Yeah, I guess one. Wukong.
Okay.
I really wanted to play that one. I'm kind of, I guess I was just a little bit confused on what it was like which kind of sucks when you're kind of comparing when you're comparing a game to like say Dark Souls, and it wasn't that. Yeah, it had boss fights in it, but it wasn't really like a Dark Souls type game. But then you would hear like people talk about how hard it is, and I was like, I'm not really into playing a game like that. But the more I looked or watched other people play it and just videos on it, it just looked like a game that was more up my alley. It just looks gorgeous. The bosses look so unique. And yeah, I just one of my regrets of just not playing it, but definitely on my list to play this year for sure.
Yeah, it's I still haven't played Lies of P either. I need to play that shit.
Yeah, I played a little bit of that, but
Yeah.
that one's a solid one too. But another, just kind of like Are you ready to get your ass kicked? This, you know what I mean,
Mhm.
over and over again to get all the stuff in the game. You just have to be in a certain mindset to play that kind of game. But
Yeah, same. All right, that's all I got.
yeah,
All right, Josh.
I got 4.
Okay.
First one is Stalker 2. I'm a huge fan of the first one. It should have been right up my alley. Just trying to find time's kind of a nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
But I am looking forward to it. But I will wait until the what's it called, AI Alive system 2.0 is back on, which is of course the sequel to the Alive system that the first one had. So I will wait for that. Second one was Indiana Jones. I love machine games, and what they did with Wolfenstein was fucking awesome. And all I've heard is good things.
I'm going to piggyback on that one because I've actually played that. I put about 5 or 6 hours into it maybe, and I never finished it. I should finish it.
Mm-hmm. And I just heard it was fun and a good time, and it really felt like you were in Indiana Jones, which is kind of cool, which is something we don't really have.
Oh yeah, Trey Baker does a great job.
Yeah, third one's Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I don't know if that's even really a regret because I haven't even played the first one yet. I haven't even played Remake yet. I just gotta. It's just sitting down and finding the time to do so is kind of a fucking pain in my ass.
Yeah.
But Rebirth is one of the big touchstones I didn't really get to be a part of the zeitgeist with, and I was like, well, shit. And then the last one is Astrobot. Literally on the PlayStation Rewind thing, a lot of my hours are in Astrobot, the Playroom, because Val, my daughter, loves that fucking game, so she'll just play it and play it and play it.
It's awesome.
And I should just get her fucking Astrobot.
Yeah.
It'd be a whole new world for her to fucking explore. And myself, because I really think they should cut the shit and just make Astrobot the sponsor, or the mascot sponsor, the mascot of Sony or of PlayStation. I think by now he's earned it, especially
Game
now
of the
Game
Year.
of the Year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely think Astrobot should be up there with Crash Bandicoot and fucking Pepsi Man and do you remember that fucking game Pepsi Man?
Pepsi Man. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No.
It was on PlayStation 1. It was some shitty.
Remember the 7-Up game on Genesis?
No.
Oh yeah.
It was like a Subway Riders Infinite Run game.
Okay.
And you played as Pepsi Man. And he was like half blue, half red.
I remember the
White
Xbox
stripe
fucking Burger King game.
Yeah, it was kind of in that vein.
Yeah.
King.
But yeah, I think Astrobot definitely got his due this year, and I really think that Team Asobi can just start. If they can start cracking these out, it'll be awesome. Especially if they start really celebrating PlayStation, which they did.
Yeah.
And then they gave it a bunch of free updates too. So I think there's a lot more to explore as well. But yeah, those are my gaming regrets.
Yeah. All right, everybody's gone?
Yeah.
Gaming regrets? Okay, so let's do disappointments. This is going to be a disappointment in the game, disappointment in yourself for some reason, disappointment in the dev, all that kind of shit. Anything that came out this year that just made you kind of go, that kind of sucked. So I'll go first real quick. Call of Duty Black Ops 6. This is the second COD in a row now that I just haven't picked up. I've heard it's good. I've watched gameplay of it. There's something about it that just makes me not want to fucking not play it. Which sucks because I used to buy every single Call of Duty every year, just like Josh. Just like I think Cody was playing them for a while. I don't know if you have been regularly playing them recently, but yeah, there's been 2 CODs now in a row that I'm just like not interested in, and so they're gonna have to do something to get me to come back. It's not a huge disappointment because like I fucking love the finals, so like I don't really need another first-person shooter in my life right now unless it's good enough. But I do kind of miss just playing Call of Duty. But when I look at it, it just seems like it's just going to go nowhere. Like there's nothing really exciting about it. And then the next COD's going to come out. And like, I hear the story's good in COD Black Ops 6. I don't know, but the multiplayer didn't look that great to me. And so, it's disappointing because there's a small part of me that likes to play Call of Duty every year. But 2 years now in a row. I haven't picked it up, so might be the end unless they pull a Modern Warfare remake and redo the whole fucking thing and then just fuck it up instantly. I don't know how they did that. This I have to tread lightly on because this is a Plus Club game and I can't talk about it too much. But Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, I'm just going to say I'm disappointed in the dev. Rocksteady, who had one of the best, like, prestigious careers you could have in gaming. They made the Arkham trilogy that is widely celebrated, even if you weren't a big fan of the third one. Everybody loves those 3 games. Even if you're not a big Batman fan, it's hard to argue that they didn't make just phenomenal games, especially when those games came out. They were, like, beautiful visually, like big fucking hard punching games. They're just, like, great to play, looked amazing, great stories, great voice acting, all that shit. And then regardless of how you feel, regardless of how I feel, because I'll be talking about it in a couple days for Plus Club, not a couple days, a week. No matter how you feel about Suicide Squad, whether you like it or not, I think most people could probably agree that it is below the standard that Rocksteady has put themselves at. And you can just kind of feel and understand that WB definitely told them they need to make an online game that they can keep monetizing. And they were like, you guys are the ones that do it. You guys have the talent. And so they had to prioritize trying to make an online shooter that really kind of hurt their fucking reputation, regardless if you like it or not. Just look at the sales, look at the reception. And so my disappointment is with Rocksteady and whoever decided to lead them in the direction to make that game. Because even if you like it, it wasn't good for them to make it. And that sucks. So that's a big disappointment. Another disappointment is Concord, not necessarily in the game itself. I actually think it was a solid first-person shooter. Played very good. There's just nothing special about it. And I think the character designs were terrible. And some people liked them. A lot of people really fucking hated them. I wasn't there, but I was like, no character looks cool. Not one single character looks cool in this fucking game. Which is crazy that you can't make one cool-looking character. So there's nothing to be invested in, but they spent so much fucking money on this game. And I guess my big disappointment is, the game kind of fumbled, but Sony straight up just ripped that fucker off the internet in like 7 days. Like, get that shit out of here, fire everybody. And it's like, whoa, how'd you greenlight this game? How'd you let it get cooked to where it was, and then show people it, and everybody's going, that game looks like shit, I don't want to play it. And then release the beta and look at the feedback and then go get rid of that thing. Yeah. It's like, you're not going to rework it. You're not going to find a way to say, you spent a lot of money, put a lot of time. They were going to be releasing new CGI story trail or segments in the beginning of the game like every week, which is crazy. That show, the amount of work they had to put into that is insane. This is a big AAA fucking game, and Sony just like went delete that. But let's not talk about it. I don't want you guys to even mention this. Yeah. It's crazy. So my disappointment is kind of with Concord, but mostly with the people who were running the thing, and then Sony's reaction to it. It's kind of crazy. You can say people's reaction to the game was overblown, but like, you have to be able to, and it was a fucking premium game, which I kind of appreciated. It's like, sell a premium game and I'll buy it if it's solid, and then release stuff where I'll buy it. I'm cool with that. But that game was a fucking mess. I don't think I've ever seen a AAA game release like that and get yanked out of there so quickly. It's like Sony really had zero, like, as soon as they heard one complaint, they're like, get it out of here. This isn't the fucking hit we were expecting. It's crazy. I've never seen that before. I do still think it'll come back though as a free-to-play game, because there's no way they spent all that money and fucking had like season 2 and 3 planned and then just went delete it. We're just gonna eat that cost.
Right.
It's crazy. So, and then
also had a secret level episode on Amazon.
Yeah, they were invested.
Yeah,
like they were fucking on it all the way.
This is like a 10-year game they were planning. Like,
yeah, and my understanding is that you got shunned if you fucking talk bad about it behind closed doors.
I believe it.
Like, it was like toxic positivity. Like, you had to be like,
I believe that.
And it's probably because they spent so much goddamn money on it that it was just like, this has to fucking, can't say anything bad. This has to succeed, But yeah, it was, that whole game and its development's a fucking shit show.
Yeah, and the two major factors that game had going on is like the gameplay was solid, but it was like not. It didn't really do anything new at all. And I get like you don't have to reinvent the fucking wheel, but there was no must-play feature that would distract me from playing the games I already enjoy playing. And then the worst part that I think is one of the biggest hits to it is like every single character looked like a fucking a person at a fashion show in Portland. Like they all like had like homeless chic going on, and it's like it's like fucking bizarre to look at. I was like, who would design these? And then you look at the original concept art; it doesn't even look the fucking same.
Yeah. You gotta play as an old lady with a crossbow. I mean,
yeah,
come on, dude, that's pretty fun, right?
It was just andro blobs.
Yeah,
it's like I can't fucking. The art style in that game was a complete just travesty.
When people get upset too when you say something like that, and it's like, why the fuck would I play a game where I'm playing as characters I don't even like looking at? And I'm not even making a case like some people like, when they're like, oh, these girls aren't feminine enough or whatever. I'm not even talking about that. I just want your characters to look cool. That's it. And they all looked fucking like goofy to me. Yeah. And you can tell they were trying to do like this retro sci-fi thing, but they didn't nail it in the final concept because the original concept art, you could see it. I was like, oh, I see what they're trying to do. But then whoever was like the final designers and the people who greenlit the final designs, they're not that. Somebody got in there and like altered those designs. And so that's just a team problem. Like communication sucked and somebody just accepted bullshit. And they fucking paid the ultimate price for it. They're gone. It's insane. So, and I feel bad for them. I'm not somebody who gets excited about teams going down unless they were like talking shit or something. But they just try to make a good game. They kind of did it, but they kind of failed. And Sony just had zero fucking patience for that. And then my last disappointment is the most fatigued and tired and not even really caring disappointment. It's kind of like the last gasp of a dying person disappointment. Skull and Bones came out. Everybody knew it wasn't going to do well. A lot of people didn't give a shit about it before it was coming out for years, getting delayed over and over and over again. Ubisoft's just, telling us, you guys are going to want to play all these games we're making. Everybody's like, no, we don't. And then they're like, yeah, you want to play these? And they're like, no, we don't. We don't want to play that at all. And then they release them and they're like, wonder why gamers aren't playing our games. We can't figure it out. There's got to be some kind of secret. And everybody's like, we didn't want to play that. We literally fucking told you years ago we don't want to play that game. We don't want to play this game. But we've also told you what games we want to play from you, and you won't fucking make them.
It's literally the fucking the meme of the principal of Simpsons, like pondering if he's wrong, and then decides now it's the kids that are wrong.
Yeah, exactly. That's Ubisoft, and Skull and Bones is like the quintessential example of just a game that's so like tonally fucking like detached from everything that you could gather from your consumer base on what they want. And then they build as a quadruple A game. It's going to be amazing. A $70 game. You're going to ride around on boats and shoot each other. That sounds like a fun free-to-play game to me. Release that for free-to-play. Maybe people play it then. And then, Star Wars Outlaws. I hear that game's decent, but also had some weird things to it. But that game got residually hit by the wave that fucking Skull and Bones made because everybody's just sick of fucking Ubisoft shit. And now they're like trying to figure out how to save themselves from getting taken over by like other companies and shit, or if they even want to sell. It's a whole mess. So yeah, my biggest disappointment, but also my least emotionally attached disappointment of 2024 is Ubisoft just fucking continuing to dig a hole in the ground for where they're going to bury themselves eventually. It's like we're over here going like, hey, you don't have to do that. You have properties we want to play. Just make a Rayman, dude. Just fucking, we'll buy Rayman. Stop digging the hole. You can keep doing Siege. Just make something. Like fucking make something we want. Where the hell is Beyond Good and Evil 2? You guys say it's still in development. Fucking just make that.
I got something to say about Beyond Good and Evil 2. Nobody could give a fuck about the first game. And now everybody's going to act like the second game is fucking this needed thing. It's not. Just cancel it. It's in hell. The fucking director's been changed like 3 fucking times. Yeah. Get fucking rid of it. Because you know what? It's not... people who pretend to like the game are like, oh my god, it's coming out. It's never going to. Just fucking rip that Band-Aid off and get fucking rid of it, because it helps nobody.
Yeah.
And it just makes you look fucking inept and stupid.
Yeah, I have no deep love for the original game, but I thought the second one looked awesome. But it's been in development hell for so long now that like I worry, are they even going to be able to release a game that is going to be worth playing now? Especially because all the ideas that seemed really exciting and cool when I first saw it is so long ago now that like, will those ideas be exciting in the current gaming climate? I don't know. So I wouldn't urge them to cancel it, but if they're going to keep playing games and they're going to ruin the development of the game over time by not knowing what the fuck they're doing, it might be worth just pulling a Sony and just deleting it. But they're in a really bad spot right now because they're not making the money that they need to be making. All their games are just failing, and we'll see what happens with Assassin's Creed Shadows, because they're really desperate. Like, they had to delay that game because pre-orders didn't even match what they needed. So yeah, Ubisoft is really struggling. I don't want them to go under. They have properties I fucking love. They just refuse to make them. So yeah, those are my disappointments. Josh, you got any?
Yeah, I got 3. Just kind of want to piggyback off that Ubisoft thing. Assassin's Creed Shadows is a fucking shit show. All the stuff that happened, all the stuff that happened, like, you know, with Yasuke and, you know, people getting shot down even though they're legitimately asking a real question.
Yeah.
Of why am I not playing a Japanese samurai in fucking feudal Japan?
Yeah, it's fair.
Which is a legit question, you know, like, and that was obviously a choice that Ubisoft made. So I mean, don't get me wrong, it was a choice. It wasn't like fucking, it was in modern day fucking America. You know, it was literally in a very regionally locked place back then, because this was back before they had like trade blockades and shit like that. So it wasn't racially diverse, and you're just gonna play the one dude. I think that was obviously a choice, and I think that should be talked about. And it's fucking lame. Another disappointment is Naughty Dog canceling
Oh yeah,
that Last of Us
Oh yeah.
service game.
Concord did that, dude.
From what, and I guess it's more Sony than Naughty Dog, but from everything that I've heard, the game was good. The people who actually played it, said the game was good, and
It sounded cool.
It being canceled, it really goes to show you how much not on the thumb Sony had on what people want. Because Concord, fucking, that ain't it, chief. So they essentially because at least Naughty Dog had a name to them. People would check out that Last of Us game.
Yeah.
Because it was, 1, The Last of Us, and 2, it was Naughty Dog, the crown jewel of Sony.
Yep.
So that itself would have sold, just that alone, fuck how it played, would have sold more.
It was just revealed recently too that there was a multiplayer God of War game that was under development that they canceled as well, which I feel, differently about that. I don't know what that would have been like, but that Last of Us multiplayer game sounded in concept cool. And also, Naughty Dog has already made multiplayer games, components to their games that were all solid. They didn't catch on like Call of Duty, but they were always fun to play.
Yeah, I played the Uncharted 3 and 4 with you guys.
Yep.
So good.
And then the Last of Us one that came out, the first game back in 2013.
Yeah, it was fun.
That was good too. So I forgot what that little thing was called, but
I don't remember either.
Yeah, but it really goes to show you that they knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
And having like a San Francisco based game, kind of survival, I think would have been awesome. So there's that. I am disappointed. I guess in myself more than anything. I do not like Metaphor, and I never will. And I feel like I'm kind of missing something.
Yeah.
But I just kind of am understanding those games just aren't for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because Persona was
Como or something.
I
No,
I felt exactly what you're saying for the first like 12 hours of Metaphor. I'm
well,
spoiling a little bit of our discussion for Game of the Month, but for the first like 10 to 12 hours, I was like, I don't know if I'm into this system of like having limited days to fucking get certain things done. I'm getting like this like anxiety of like, oh fuck, dude, I don't know if I need to be leveling right now or need to be leveling up my imagination because I can only access certain things using that. And then like by the time I only have like 5 days to do this, I have to go do this dungeon. I have to beat it within a certain amount of time. If I don't, I fucking fail, and I have to save. So I have an alternate save in case I fuck this up, even though I don't use it. But I was like really overthinking it, and then eventually it kind of opens up in a way that I'm like, oh, it's alleviated, okay. But I completely understand what you're saying, because I was like, am I not into this? I felt the same way
I'm
with
just,
Persona.
I'm just not a fan of those, like day by day games.
Yeah.
I feel like that weird artificial time limit is a real fucking stinker for me. It really
Majora's
fucking
Mask.
crimps me. It crimps my style. Um, and then I'm disappointed in, and nobody else, I mean, other than you, Seth, nobody else really agrees with me. I am disappointed in the story of Infinite Wealth. I just feel like so much could have done, so much more could have been done with it, and it just kind of, it wasn't as fulfilling as I wanted it to be and or needed it to be. I think I also think the Concord blunder is a fucking just a complete piece of shit decision. That was like 400, it was triple digit, like millions of dollars, like 9-digit
Yeah,
fucking
AAA money.
dollars.
I thought it was like 700 million or something like that.
And like, yeah. And it was one of the, I mean, this along with like the Bungie acquisition has been huge blunders on fucking Sony's part.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we've all seen all the reports. Fucking Bungie's in the red. It's not working out as well as it should be. Supposedly they're the ones that shut down that fucking Last of Us multiplayer thing. Because they naysayed some shit. When all of a sudden fucking Concord got to go through, like none of this makes sense. And it was just a bunch of fucking bullshit on top of bullshit. And that's fucking disappointing.
Yeah.
Ubisoft needs to get their shit together. They canceled the third division game.
Did they?
Or they canceled, well, not the third division game, the free to play one, the Division
the
Heartland.
extraction shooter.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is also disappointing because I kind of was interested in that.
I was too.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of games that are based in the Midwest.
Yeah.
Especially like tactical games like
I also
that.
I like the combat system in the Division. I like the cover shooting and shit.
And the dark zones were fun, though hectic and fucking scary. So I don't see why they couldn't have just expanded on that. But no, fuck me. Let's keep Skull and Bones going out of some fucking Malaysian hellhole that it was made in. So, I'm not saying Malaysia's a hellhole, but you know what I mean. The studio is.
It's fine.
So yeah, there was definitely, all the layoffs are a huge disappointment. There's been more layoffs this year than the past like 3 years combined or some shit. So I mean, like, and that's from the COVID bubble. That nobody ever thought like, hey, we're stuck at home, so we're gonna play fucking games. You don't think people are gonna go back outside at some point? And
I mean,
all
I was kidding, but
all that stuff is gonna, like all that high tide isn't gonna come back down and sink all these ships. So you've just seen studio after studio closure, which is hella disappointing.
Yeah.
And I'm disappointed in Xbox because they can't get their wording correct. They can't get their message across in a good way. The way they talked about how they're trying to come out with a Steam Deck recently, or a Steam Deck like, handheld.
Xbox handheld, yeah.
Yeah, is completely just is a mixed bag. It just seems like it's almost like oh shit, Sony kind of, played their hand saying they're working on a handheld. Switch 2 just got fucking announced.
Yeah.
Not really by Nintendo, which was disappointing.
To be fair, though, I'm more interested in an Xbox handheld than I am in an Xbox console. So
I am too. I think,
and also Phil Spencer, ever since the Steam Deck came out, has just been gushing about loving using it. And then when the other ones are coming out, he was using all those as well. So I think he got inspired by just seeing that people were making portable PCs. And I think it would work really good with Game Pass, having just a service that you can just download games to your portable system and not have to really think about buying them. I think it'd be a really good system. But yeah, other than that, though, the way they're handling the Xbox brand, I am disappointed in, because it seems like they just don't give a fuck about it. But to their credit, they released 2 decent games in 2024. Didn't really win many awards except for Senua Saga, but Indiana Jones, solid.
Yeah, it's solid, but it did that, that faux pas of fucking coming out after December something. So they're like, we can't add this to the Game Awards. I was like, bitch, it's the same fucking year.
I think it was.
You don't have time to process it. I agree with that decision.
Yeah.
So,
well, I was like,
honeymoon phase is a real thing.
Oh, for sure.
It is, but I know Cyberpunk they didn't really deserve any awards anyway when the game released, but they were completely skipped over by the Game Awards too, because it came out on the 20th of December. And look, I agree. I just think that there has to be a better way to do it for large games that do.
The thing that sucks about Cyberpunk 2 is it came out in the state it came out. So in that year, I don't think it would have won anyway. But the final product, I think, absolutely deserved Game of the Year. So I don't know how you handle that. Except for they should have just not released it and kept developing it for a year. But it's tricky because the final product is absolutely Game of the Year material. It's fucking amazing. But that original one, it'd be really hard to give a game that buggy Game of the Year. Be like people are like fucking Cody's like flying in his car and shit, doing backflips or whatever the fuck he's telling me about, and like I got Jackie walking through cars and shit, and like they're like, that's Game of the Year, and it's like maybe later it will be.
Best ways to handle it anyways is either just consider your gaming year to be December through November, or start having every Game of the Year show be in January.
Right.
I think they should do that, but that's what we're doing here, and we're smart, so I don't know.
Just to allow,
just finish the year out.
Marinate.
All right, English is hard.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But as far as I could think, that's my gaming disappointments. That's a lot more than 3, but
it's not like you're just pissed at the gaming industry.
This was therapeutic.
Yeah, it's like a lot of cover chest.
Must feel better.
It was, man. There's a lot of bullshit that happened this fucking year, and hopefully they learn, or else they're going under.
There was definitely here. I'll piggyback a little bit, but we don't have to get into it because I want to get your guys' disappointments. But here's a major disappointment in 2024 is we got to see the mask pulled off of AAA, and they were just failing left and right throughout 2024 in a way that was hard to defend for a lot of people. And I'll even throw in BioWare there with Veilguard. I know a lot of people like that game. A lot of people didn't like that game, and a lot of people bitched about the game. It's just another victim of a self-inflicted wound of AAA not having their finger on the pulse. And it's just 2024 was just full of that. But because of that, we got to enjoy the AA darlings, the indie games that are always coming up with great new ideas, and the AAA games that did respect our money and time, like Dragon's Dogma 2. So yeah, 2024 in general, back kind of back in Josh's everyone can go fuck themselves thing. AAA really dropped the ball in 2024 in a way that everyone got to see, and so it's going to kind of shape the future of how they handle things. And Ubisoft is, canceling everything. Sony's fucking canceling everything because they can't play around. They have to have games that just do well. So,
well, did you see that? Something came out that was like Ubisoft's like almost talking like they're looking to sell, or they're like
Ubisoft went through like 5 different things that they're planning on doing. The biggest thing they're trying to do is make sure that the Guillemons keep control of the company.
Yeah.
But on that, they're willing to sell. They don't want to get bought out unless they can keep Yves Guillemot in control, basically. But they're like, they're at the point where they're willing to sell their company. They just want to make sure they can control it. And I'm like, that's not good.
Yeah, and rumor has that Assassin's Creed Shadows has to hit.
It
And
has to,
it has to hit, or else they're done.
because
Or else they're gonna get
Outlaw is
sold.
undersold,
Yep.
and Skull and
it
Bones
came out
didn't
in-
sell.
Outlaws came out in a real fucking weird. They literally had an update in the, you pay to play the game early,
Yeah,
like a week, and then like 5 days into that week, they had an update that soft locked your save, so you couldn't like move forward. They had progression blockers built in,
oh weird.
so like you literally had to start over again. So I was like, what the fuck was the point of paying that money
Yeah, I didn't
to
hear
play
about
it
that. That's
early?
crazy.
Yeah, yeah, and I was like, holy shit, like that's, oof.
Yeah,
I'm begotten by that early access shit, but it's gonna get me one day.
yeah. All right, let's get this moving along. Cody, got any disappointments?
I think we pretty much covered most of them, but
Yeah.
Concord, I'll piggyback on that one. That was kind of a disappointment. I kind of didn't really have much faith in it just because it was, you could see what they were trying to do, but it was just, again, like none of the characters looked cool. It just didn't really, I mean, played solid, but yeah, it was just, didn't gravitate towards a certain character. The play styles just kind of seemed the same.
Yep.
Or the characters, their abilities kind of seem the same, and it's just a real stinker. But,
Especially in a game where like the things you're working to unlock are cosmetics and they're just different colors and
Exactly.
costumes look like shit.
Yeah,
So it's like
exactly.
that's what you're gonna keep me playing with is stuff I don't want.
right,
It's fucking just different colored trash bags.
Yeah. It's
yeah.
like,
If they're gonna come out with story stuff and that secret level episode and build this whole thing, it's like make them look cool, like make it really pull us in, and it just didn't really seem like it had life ever. So to release it, I don't even think it really went over. I think something crazy like 500 concurrent players.
yeah, it was
It
bad.
was like something really ridiculous. And
Yeah.
it was just one of those games that everybody just started harping on. And, I know a lot of like the streamers and shit were just watching like how many concurrent players they were playing and just dogging on it. I'm like, this game had no chance.
Yep. Before it came out. Yep.
Yeah, like literally no chance. So, but yeah, that was a shitty one. But really honestly, even, when Marvel Rivals came out too, and even though it's a little bit different, I don't even see where it would even have a chance, even if it was fun to be the type of game it is. I mean, they'll have to release it free to play to have any sort of, run at it. But yeah, that was really the only one though.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's fair. Chevy,
I have nothing.
got no therapy
Not a
session you want to give?
regretful man.
Huh?
No therapy session for you?
Not really.
No venting?
A lot of the games and stuff you guys, are talking about aren't games I would play anyways. So
Right.
Yeah.
it doesn't matter to me.
You don't want to talk about the disappointment in, fuck, what's her name? Woke Lamont. Isn't that her name?
Oh. Well, I
fancy.
brought it up as the reason it didn't hit my game of the year, but I still think the expansion as a whole was
Woklamat? Is that their name?
Wok Lamont.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, that's a boring character,
Yeah.
but I'm not like peeved by it. So
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Yeah, mostly all my disappointments are just the management, the devs, whoever's making the decisions. It's not even necessarily the games, because some of these Skull and Bones I didn't have any hype for. I was just like, why are you doing this, dude? Because it's not going to fucking land, man.
yeah.
It's so obvious.
I don't know. I guess I mostly play Eastern games and they're killing it. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, true. All right. Well, does anybody have anything they want to say about anything in 2024? Otherwise, we're going to close this out.
Not me, man.
Nah,
good-
man, I got that off my chest. I feel good.
Yeah. 2024 was a good year. I don't think it was the best year. It didn't have the biggest bangers ever, but it had some it had a lot of very, very solid games. I think 2025 is going to be a much bigger year in gaming, especially with Grand Theft Auto 6 coming out. If it does, that's going to be a whole event in gaming. With plenty of Monster Hunter Wilds. We got a lot of big games to look forward to in 2025, and a lot of them are coming out sooner than later, which is pretty crazy. And so I think this discussion will be a little easier to have at the end of the year, or next January, I guess, because there'll be those bigger hitters. But yeah, we've already shouted out the games, but a lot of great games in 2024, and definitely have some games I got to play on my backlog because there's so many that I didn't get to play them all. So, but yeah, let us know in the comments. What do you guys think about your game of the year, your runner-ups, of course? What do you think about our thoughts on our picks? And what were your biggest regrets of 2024 when it comes to the games you didn't play or didn't play enough of? What were your biggest disappointments? Is there any games you'd like to shout out? And how do you feel overall about how 2024 was in gaming? What do you think about the AAA scene in gaming in 2024? Where do you hope it goes in 2025? But I think it's going to do it for this episode. It's been fun, as always. Thank you, Cody, for joining me. Thank you, Josh, for joining me. Thank you, Chevy, for joining me for this conversation. And thank you guys for joining us for this. I've been Seth, and until the next episode, have a good one, guys, and take it easy.